Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Down the Line podcast. Ethan, it's good to be back, bro. It's good to be back.
Yes, it is.
How
Yes,
are
it
we? How
is.
are we
It's
doing on this
long
fine
overdue.
Friday, March 20th here? How are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. WBC just ended, so what a tournament that was. That
Absolutely, bro.
was a
Listen,
lot of fun.
I want to take a bit really quick before we get to the main part of the episode. I want to talk about the WBC really quick. So, It's a pretty safe assumption that most people who are listening to this probably watch the WBC in some capacity, right? If you followed the tournament all the way through, like I pretty much did, you had a great time. Every single one of the, like, if you want to call it, like, the past the pool play, every single one of those games was insane. Pretty much all of
Yeah,
the pool play games were really fun, right? You had
yeah,
some insane, like some ridiculous games. Like the final between Venezuela and the U.S. was insane. Um, Venezuela and Japan, or both the semifinal games were
yeah.
really good. Venezuela, Japan, USDR. Some of the pool play games were ridiculous. Netherlands and who was it? Netherlands and Nicaragua had a really good game in the pool play. Panama and was it Panama and Puerto Rico? Or was it Panama and Panama walked off somebody? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Or was it Cuba? I don't remember. It was
It was
somebody.
against Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. They walked it off against Panama. It was Hernandez, the athletic, that walked it off, which was funny because going into that day, there were zero walk-off home runs ever in the WBC,
And then there was two
and then
in one day.
Albies and Hernandez, the first
I
two in the
was
same day.
I was at work, so it was extremely dead at my work, right? And my boss is letting me do like university stuff in the back, so I'm on my laptop, like we're doing an essay or whatever in the back, and I have the Netherlands Nicaragua game on my phone, right? I was having all the games on
Yeah,
my phone like while I was there. It's like looking down, doing my thing, whatever. And it's like two strikes, no one on, two outs, and it's like yeah, Nicaragua's got this in the bag. And then they get one guy on, and then boom, Bogarts I think hits like a double at second and third, and Albies is up, and then he takes the pitch, and I'm like, yo, like I have no stake in this game, right? Like I don't care about the
yeah,
Netherlands, I don't care about Nicaragua, but I was like, oh my god, like my hands were on my head. I was like, I felt I felt so invested in like every single one of these games, and I think the thing is because like I think it's actually kind of easy to forget right now how young the WBC is. Like, the WBC started in 2006, right?
yeah,
It is supposed to be like the baseball World Cup, and for all intents and purposes, that is what it is. Obviously, it's not the same scale because it's not nearly as established.
right.
But like, it is already grown to be I think pretty easily the single biggest stage in the entire sport. I don't really think there's much of a discussion to be had, to be honest.
Oh,
I know some people like to say, still like to say, oh, it's like, MLB the World Series, whatever. But when you look at the international engagement from, something like an MLB postseason game or series or the World Series or whatever, versus like any form, like anything in the WBC, oh, it blows it out of the water. The WBC, with all due respect, like I love the like we love the MLB, we follow it all
yeah,
season, we do all of this because of it. But the WBC is probably the sport's peak. Like honestly, it is the best baseball that is played all year. What do you have to say on that kind of stuff?
yeah. It also just means more to a lot of these guys. You see these people on various countries that haven't been able to be represented on the main stage. Like, for example, some of the players on Czechia who have full time jobs because obviously the leagues there aren't as, prominent as they are in, let's say, Japan, Korea. Not even including just, obviously Major League Baseball, which is number one in terms of,
Mm-hmm.
it's considered the premier baseball league in the world.
Yeah, pretty
So
easily
like
too.
you just see great stories. Like you see a guy who's literally an electrician who strikes out Otani, pitches four shutout innings against Team Japan, and then you have guys like, uh, you know, who are playing in their last one after playing years of the sport, and it's just being able to represent your country. There's obviously a sense of pride that you don't get from playing for just a normal team, which it's really cool to see. You saw the Dominican Republic. They those players loved it. I mean, every home run, every
That was like
extra
the
base hit,
most
every
fun game to
run,
watch
they're
the
just
entire tournament.
so electric to watch them. The way it ended was so unfortunate with that
It
call, which
was.
I just want to wonder, why is ABS in the spring training and regular season, but in the World Baseball Classic that's in between both of them, there is none.
Yeah, that
That's what
that
I don't
moment
get.
was obviously the big explanation mark, I think, to be like, why is ABS not here? There were moments before, right? Like, that is
Hmm.
not the one and only mess up in the WBC by any means. In terms of like ball strikes, whatever. There was a bunch, and obviously with human umpires, that is a thing that's going to come with it. But you do have to wonder that ABS, which is something that I don't really think that there is any good argument against ABS. To be completely honest, like it slows the game down by at most like 15 seconds at a time, which is not a big deal, and it's gonna happen only a couple times a game, um, and it is there to fix and kind of correct umpire errors, right?
Yeah.
Um, I have a really hard time understanding why it was not implemented in the tournament. And maybe the reason is because it's not like already established as an MLB rule yet, and by that I mean like it hasn't had its time in the MLB. That's the only reason I can possibly think of. That's the only sense I can possibly make of it. I don't really think it's a good reason, but it's the best I can think of.
Yeah.
Because like you have so many times throughout, like let's go through like regular season stuff or postseason or whatever. You have so many things that now obviously bad ball and strike calls are not the only thing that like can affect the outcome or influence the outcome of a game. Obviously, primarily it is the play of the players, right? But you have
Yeah.
moments, for example, like that Perdomo strikeout, which was almost half a foot below the strike zone. It was like I think like 4 inches below the zone, which is absolutely ridiculous. Um, that can't happen. And in the spot
No.
where it was, you have the tying run on third base. Perdomo is not a guy who strikes out. He's not a guy who swings at bad pitches. He has some of the best understanding of the strike zone in the whole world, right? Like let's not get any of
Yeah.
that twisted. Um, you need like it is objectively a good thing that we are bringing something in place to correct those kinds of mistakes because this has been happening for ages, right? It's not a new thing. Umpires screwing up, right? You see it all the time. You see guys get ejected for pressing umpires on that, which is kind of sad. Um, I also this actually kind of sparks another conversation, and if you want, Ethan, we can circle back to what we're talking about now and other WBC stuff. I'm sure we're on the same side of Twitter, so I'm sure you saw the same stuff I was seeing. You saw the people who were saying to oh, Perdomo's got to swing, you got to protect there, right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, man.
No, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'm all for protecting the plate on close pitches, but that wasn't particularly close. Is the
That was like at
problem?
his shins. Like, there's no
Like,
protecting on that.
if it's a pitch that's just outside the strike zone, and you know what I mean, then you get called out where it's like, okay, looking at it, you probably should swing, and the players will tell you that first that they should have swung at some of this
Mm-hmm.
pitches. But that's one that there's just no justifying. That's just it's just a blatant ball.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another thing. If he swung at it and made contact, it would have been not great. Like it wouldn't have been, you know, a very well hit ball.
There's like a 1%
And
chance that it's a liner to the outfield for a single, and that's it. Like 90% is like a weak grounder to the right side, or like back
and
to
as
the net.
fans, we want the best product on the field.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see the best version of the players, the best baseball we can. And having guys swing at pitches that are obviously bad just because you don't know if it's going to be a coin flip, as Max Scherzer would tell you, for a call, then you're not getting the best product because you're forcing players to, swing at bad pitches, to strike out or to ground out, whatever. And that in turn just makes the game a worse experience to watch.
Yeah, like we want a more well refined product, I guess is the word I'll use. And it's hard to get that when you have, umpires calling we've seen umpires before call balls right down the middle. We've
Yeah.
seen umpires call strikes way out of the zone. People were reposting a clip after that. I think it was of the 2013 WBC, or maybe it was before that. I'm not sure. They
Yeah.
called a strike on Eric Ibar, and it was literally in
Oh,
the
yeah.
other batter's box. And I was like, I want to hear the "You Gotta Protect" crowd. I want to hear their reaction to this, because what do you want them
Yeah.
to do? Like, that's in the other batter's box. And
And this isn't a strictly, WBC issue,
yes,
obviously. This happens in every league, but
uh-huh.
it's more so frustrating when Major League Baseball makes a big point of implementing ABS. They use it in the minor leagues, and now it's coming to the majors. And then for this tournament, and like, if you don't want to set it up for a random pool game, whatever, but in the actual playoff, the elimination part of it, to not have it when they're playing in the major league stadiums where it's already set up is just mind-boggling, honestly.
And it's not like the ABS is like some brand new thing, like concept that they didn't
Right.
have time to like whatever coming into the WBC. Even before this year, we've been talking about robo umps for years. ABS, robo umps, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, that territory has been talked about for years. Years before this, it was talked about. Like, you heard people talking about concepts of it before the last CBA. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a new idea, which makes it all that like weirder. You know what I mean? That it's not implemented.
Yeah, I mean,
And I know we're spending okay amount of time on this. We're not trying to say that the U.S. should have lost there, blah blah blah, because the DR did have a lot of other chances. They had the 4
Yeah.
innings where they stranded guys in scoring position.
that's
Like,
that's the
just,
thing. You saw the screenshots of like, oh yeah, they
I think it was a
got
4th,
screwed on the
5th,
call, but they still
7th,
lost. And
and
yes,
9th.
that
They
is
left guys
true.
on.
They very well could have won. Like, the issue that is being stressed isn't the fact that they lost because of the umps, but it's that the game was finished by the ump.
Exactly. And like, there were bad calls all game. I know the umpire rung up Soto on like a very similar pitch to the Perdomo one. He called what should have been ball 4 to Bryce Harper in the top of the 9th. He called that a strike, I know. And then I think he ended up striking out later that AB, which further just like exemplifies, or like further proves the point of like, these calls don't decide games on their own, but they can have a very significant influence in what actually like happens, right? Especially in crucial spots like that, you need to get it right. The argument for, well, you got to protect because the umpire's been calling this, or you can't leave it up to the umpire, blah blah blah. If it is very clearly a ball, or if it's clearly a strike or whatever, you should not be counting on, or you
Right.
shouldn't be scared of what the umpire is going to call because he's been screwing it up the whole game. Like, no. When you are at this level, keep in mind, this is the highest level, right?
Yeah.
We are not saying that, like, these are just guys. Like, these are the highest level players. These are the highest level everybody. And as such, we should have the highest level of game calling, right? And game officiating as well, right? That shouldn't be the one area where we get to let things screw up a lot of the time, right? We shouldn't get to do that. Like, that's ridiculous, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, I agree.
But otherwise, the WBC was a great tournament. There was a lot of really unexpected. There was some unexpected stuff too. I know Team Italy didn't make the final or whatever, but they went on a run, a pretty unexpected run.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Like,
love the theatrics with the espresso machine. Funnily enough, you could bid on the MLB website, like on the auction website. You could bid on that.
Can you really? That's so funny. I love that.
Yeah. You could also bet on the DR home run jacket.
Ooh.
You could let me see what else there is. Just like that's cool. That's not like just a normal like name thing or like a ball or something. But yeah, there's definitely some really cool things. I don't know, Tani, the one game he hit the grand slam in, is the bid's at 200,000 US right now.
Oh my god, was that like the ball?
The jersey that he wore.
Jersey. Oh damn.
The home run jacket that they used in the semifinal, the DR, 13,000. the espresso machine that was used in multiple games at 3,200. Uh, and there's some other cool ones, obviously, like jerseys and stuff. But I don't know. I just really like the things like that, like the home run celebration things being auctioned. I think that's really cool.
Oh my god, yeah, bro. Some of those home run celebrations were electric too, man.
Oh
Like
yeah,
there was like that Tatis one against Venezuela. There was Willie Abreu against Japan. Like, my
yeah.
god, and like literally anything that the DR did. My god, that
And
whole
the sombrero for Team Mexico. I remember Alejandro Kirk hit that 3-run shot against Brazil and then got the sombrero put on him.
we love that. It's just like it's so fun too because like it doesn't set like there's people who will legitimately sit here and they will call this an exhibition, which is hilarious by the way. We talked briefly already about how meaningful the WBC is, but like there are literally players who like are on record saying like this means more to us than a World Series. And it's not like nobody players, right? Derek Jeter said like, "Oh, well, they just haven't played in a World Series." And then you look at the guys who said it and it's like guys who have won championships already, people who have been to the World Series. I don't have the list of names in front of me, so I don't remember exactly who, but I remember seeing it then, and I was like, these guys have literally won a World Series, or they've been there. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And you see you see like their personalities, you see them just loving the sport. And obviously there are cases where it's like, I don't know if you noticed this after the Harper home run in the final.
Mm-hmm.
But did you see Aaron Judge like try to calm down the team like when they were trying to celebrate?
I didn't, actually. I didn't.
Like, here, let me try to pull it up.
I actually did not see that.
It's just, I'll stream it really quick, but like, I don't understand. Like, this is such a big moment. Hits the home run. He's going nuts, rounds the bases, showing the flag,
did you
whatever.
He started to look at the wrong sleeve, too.
Look.
Oh my god, I never saw that.
What about the wrong sleeve?
When he's right, you see right before he does that. I don't know if you get it on this. Okay, you don't get it on this angle. There was an angle where it's like more focused on him from the front, and he like for a second before he points at the U.S. flag, he looks at the wrong sleeve really quick, like he's about to point.
Yup, look at my advertisement.
And then it's like the Capital One or whatever the hell the advertisement was. I think it was kind of funny.
Which is another thing I should point out. Like, yes, I get advertisements on jerseys, it's like the norm now, but like on an international jersey, it's kind of crazy.
It is kind of hilarious. I can't lie. It is kind of funny. When Team Canada was playing, I saw the Rogers patch on the or not the patch, but like the Rogers thing on the jersey. So I was like, all right, let's wrap it up. Like, come on.
At least the colors match the jersey. The Blue Jays have a bum ass lime green TD logo on theirs.
You know what I think is really hilarious?
What?
You can in the J shop, you can get a free TD patch on your jersey.
Yeah, you'd have to pay me to fucking advertise for them.
Let's get serious. I'm not going.
You want me to put
TD patch on my jersey? Like, let's come on.
You want me to put an advertisement on the jersey? I better be getting some royalties from TD.
Dude, no, literally. Listen. If you want this on my I'm not going around saying, yo, look at my TD patch. I'm not doing that. With all due respect, that's not happening.
At least we could be thankful that it hasn't gone to the point with like. Oh my, have you ever seen like an international hockey jersey?
I have not. What are those?
Yeah, hold on, let me just find a random one.
Those sound
if you
sound like the bad.
If you like watch a game from some of like the leagues in like Germany and overseas, these are some of the jerseys you got.
Let me see this. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's dude, what the Yo, I'm not gonna lie. If I went to a game and they came out in jerseys like that, I'm going home. I'm going home, bro.
And even the ones that are considered light on advertisements.
I'm not. Those are considered light?
Like that's just considered like normal. Like
Dog, the
there.
entire knee is a McDonald's logo.
No, I'm saying the one I just sent, the second
Oh,
one.
the
But yeah,
second one.
that
Oh.
that's still
Brother!
crazy.
Bro, there's like
Yeah.
5 patches.
Yeah, so at least we could be thankful that our jerseys aren't like that over here right now. But
If they came out in these, I'm going home. Like, I'm not watching this shit.
yeah, and that's my gripe with soccer uniforms is that I understand advertisements, but like the main part of the jersey should be supporting the team, not the brand, like the advertisement, like how they have it on the front. That's what I don't like about them. Because if you buy the jersey, you're literally just wearing an advertisement, basically.
Yeah, like, it should, at the absolute most, be like, honestly, I think they should be like small shoulder patches. Or not shoulder, but like on the...
Yeah, on the sleeve.
Yeah, like at most. Like, it shouldn't be anything more than...
Yeah,
Maybe
like in
a
the
small... Maybe a
NHL.
small thing like on the front. Like how they do
On
on
the
basketball
NHL,
games a
it's
lot of the time.
very small. Yes, like
But like, that's it. It shouldn't be more than
a
that.
lot of the time, it looks fine because the it matches. Like for example, this one isn't that bad. Like it's not too clunky. But there are some teams that have like an advertisement patch with like 4 different colors, and none of them are even the team color.
No, that's bad. Like that one you just sent me, like the least one. Like, that's fine. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Ideally I wouldn't want advertisements jersey, but like that's fine. Like at the end of the day, you mean they're
Yeah.
like it's just a thing that's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
this is just the kind of world we live in, the kind of economic system we live in. We live in a capitalist system, so I mean that is what it is.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? If you're gonna do that, that's fine. Like I don't really take much
Yeah.
issue with that. But like some of them are just ugly, man.
Yeah.
Thank God
For
it's
sure.
not. Thank God it's not to that German hockey point yet. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. It's an eyesore, to say the least.
Ugh. Anyways, I think we're ready to get on to kind of like the main meat and potatoes a little bit. So
Yeah.
it has been a long off season, right?
Yep.
As we're recording
Almost
this,
over, thankfully.
almost over. As we're recording this, we are just a few days away from opening day. Opening day is, what is it, 25th? 25th is the first day. Wednesday. We're recording this on Friday, so we're 5 days away from the first
Get
game
a
of the
fun
season.
little Yankees-Giants game on Netflix, you know?
On net. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I forgot that was on Netflix. I don't know how much.
I don't even know. I don't know if it's Netflix in Canada. I know it is in the States. It might not be in Canada, but
I hope it's on MLB TV still, because I'm gonna have to get on that. But anyways, it's been a long off season, but we're almost done. We're in the last small stretch of spring training games. We have less than a week before.
Barry
opening day.
Bonds is on the broadcast apparently.
On the broadcast for that game.
Yeah, Bonds, Sabathia, Pence, Pujols, and
Okay.
Vasgersian's the
That's
play-by-play.
That's kind of stacked. Shout out Matty V.
Yeah, that's nice.
But since it's the end of the off season, we are going to grade every single team's off season, how it went, right?
Yep.
Obviously, not all of these grades are just based on one thing or another. There's a lot of context that comes into these, the kind of situation they were coming in to, like, they were in coming into the off season. Some things regarding expectations. Not everything is the exact same. Like, there's just different ways you have to look at things based on the situation. So it's not just flat brought in, like, you know, they brought in this guy, they lost that guy, whatever, right? Obviously, that's the most important thing, but, you know, we're not going to grade a team like the White Sox on the same scale as, like, the Dodgers, right? Like, that's silly. That's silly to do and reductive, and it makes no sense. But anyways, let's start. Where do you want to start, Ethan? Give us.
We can start the AL East.
The AL East. All right.
Definitely, I would say the strongest division in baseball.
Yes.
From top to bottom.
Unfortunately for us.
Yeah.
Probably this. I think it's the strongest division of baseball. I don't think it's particularly close.
No.
Let's get on that. So, let's start with the Baltimore Orioles. So, the Orioles had an interesting offseason. So they were pretty busy, right? They brought in Pete Alonso, Taylor Ward. They traded for Shane Baz. They signed Chris Bassett. They brought back Zach Eflin. They brought in Ryan Helsley, Andrew Kittredge. That's a pretty decent amount of additions. And they didn't really lose too much. Like, when you look at their key subtractions, it's like Tomoyoki Sagano and, like, Grayson Rodriguez. That's a lot of extra value that they brought in, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Especially when you consider the fact that, like, Grayson Rodriguez was injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
so
that's still a big question mark of a trade for the Angels, which we'll get into more when we're there. But just because it's like, if you're getting Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez at this point in time, that kind of just tells me that, like, either the Angels see something, or I mean the Orioles see something that's like, okay, this guy's beyond hurt, because obviously I'm not saying Taylor Ward's not a good return, but it's like it just kind of came out of nowhere, the trade.
Yeah, well, on the surface, you would expect,
yes,
a young pitcher, only has 2 years of service time, has shown some pretty good things at the MLB level, to be worth more than, again, all due respect to Taylor Ward, but, he's older, he's on expiring contract, is what it is, right? Even if he's, like, a good player and a positive addition to almost any lineup, you would expect someone like Rodriguez to just net more, right?
Yeah.
But again, the context of the guy is coming off Tommy John. Like, the guy just missed the entire year. And I think that we said something like this when the trade went down, where, like, it's not necessarily that, like, the Orioles didn't get enough value for him. It's there's something there that obviously probably hasn't been, like, widely reported of whatever. But you can tell that there's something there with the injury that is, like, a red flag for the Orioles.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a pretty big thing. Like, that's pretty hard to ignore, you know what I mean?
The one thing that does worry me about this team is that there were some big name free agent starting pitchers on the market, all of them for the most part linked to the Orioles. They didn't get any of them.
Yeah, that one is, like, they were like...
Shane Baz is the best pitcher that they got, starting-wise, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, can you even say he is a 3-starter on a good team? I don't think you can.
That's a trade that had, I would say, some pretty divisive reactions. Like, there's people who really liked it for the Orioles, and there's people who didn't. I think it depends on just how high you are on Shane Baz's stuff. And I think, again, this is something that we said when it went down. I am personally not as high on him. I don't think he's that great.
That's a move you make when you're looking to add a guy as a 4 or 5 to solidify the back end of the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a guy you get to expect to be probably their 3-starter.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, they were linked to the guys like Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, and the reason for
Michael
that
King,
was because
too.
they needed a big-time pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, Corbin Burns, they went out and got. That was awesome. Incredible to get a guy of that caliber. And then they let him go. And then they didn't do anything to replace him. And then they still haven't. Obviously, Trevor Rogers had a fantastic year. But he hasn't been somebody to show that he can consistently do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really big question mark, because if him and Bradish aren't playing to their capabilities or what we've seen, then their rotation is not just the worst in the division. You're looking at a rotation that could be towards the end, like the bottom of the American League as a whole.
Yeah, and the thing is, even with a guy like Rogers, like, he was obviously ridiculous in 2025. I think it's really, like, you can't expect him to do that level of production again. And
no, a sub 2 ERA.
Trevor Rogers, isn't a good pitcher. I need us everyone to understand how ridiculous a 1.81 ERA is for a starter with over. He had 109 innings in 2/3 innings pitched, right? A 1.81 ERA over that span is ridiculous. He does not boast a strikeout or walk numbers to consistently maintain that. Prime Jacob deGrom couldn't maintain that over multiple seasons.
Yeah,
Trevor
and
Rogers
another
is
thing
not
is
prime Jacob deGrom. Even
this
if he
isn't
regresses
somebody.
let's say like a 3 ERA over however many innings he pitches. That's still a pretty damn good pitcher.
And what makes it even more questionable is like this isn't somebody who's overwhelming in the sense of he doesn't pump, a high velocity. He doesn't have a lot of strikeout stuff. He doesn't manage hard contact that well. Like this is just a player who's primed to kind of, blow up a bit in the sense of I don't think I think it's way more realistic he has a ERA above 4 than he does under 250.
Yeah, but like even like the thing is that even if he does have, let's say, like a 2.75 ERA, something like that, right? Because like there are things that he is objectively good at. He gets a decent amount of ground balls. He gets some chase. Gets an okay amount of whiffs. Doesn't really walk too many guys. Whatever, right? Even if he regresses to, let's say, a 2.75 ERA, that's nearly a full run, like higher than it was in 2025. So that is already a lot less value you're going to get from your rotation if he is not going out there and putting up the numbers he did last season, right? Which, again, I think is unfair to expect from him. Right. He can still be very good, and it'll still be a regression. Like, it's that simple.
Yes.
And even if that happens, he puts up, let's say, a 2.75 ERA, which is still ridiculous. It's still really, really, really good. It'll be one of the best marks in baseball.
Yeah.
That is still not nearly as good as it was the year before. And on top of that, the rest of your rotation isn't very good. However, with all of that being said, they did improve in some other areas as well. They brought in Pete Alonso. That's an objective positive for their offense. You can say maybe the deal's a little too high value, but it is what it is. Obviously, Taylor Ward, we talked about it. It'll be a little interesting to see how he plays in that ballpark because they have the really...
They added power, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's a thing. And then they added Ryan Helsley, which you can say whatever in the second half, whatever. That deal's not very high risk anyways. They added a guy like Andrew Kittredge, who's not going to be like super high leverage, but he should be productive out of the pen for what they need. And then Chris Bassett's there to eat innings and just be like a solid like 4-starter. Those are guys that like, you know what I mean? Those are some solid additions. I think overall they did okay. They missed out on like the big time front end pitcher. If they would have got a Ranger Suarez or a Framber.
Yeah, and what also hurts, especially with the bullpen, is like these are definitely some good guys to get. Don't get me wrong, but the problem is they're still missing Felix Bautista, who is likely out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, these are great guys to have to kind of get you to the 9th inning to get to your closer, but they don't really have a guy who I trust as a full-time closer, I feel like, at least are the guys they brought in.
Yeah, they're probably looking at someone like... They're probably looking at Helsley to be that, I think. I think part of it, they knew. Probably with, there's been stuff with Felix. They're looking at Helsley for that, I'm sure. I have no doubt about it. Overall, though, we can sit here and we can say that, there's things that they should have done. There's things that they did miss out on that they needed, and that can be true. I still think it's a solid offseason from them. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
If they would have gotten, a Framber or whoever on that level, this would have been a fantastic offseason. With that being said, I still think it's a positive offseason from them, though. They are easily better than they were in 2025. They didn't really lose anything of value. Nothing, Sagana was okay for them, but, they've well more than replicated the value on the pitching front. They added offense. They added to their bullpen. I think this is an objective positive for them, even if it's not perfect.
It is.
I'd say it's a B offseason. I'd give this a B.
Yeah, I would say B as well. And another thing is their success is very contingent on their current players, the ones that they already had, because Adley Rutschman has been on a decline since his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously is the first overall pick, a guy who was touted as, someone who could be one of the best hitting catchers in baseball. You got to actually prove that. Gunnar Henderson, he had an unbelievable 2024. He almost hit 40 home runs. Had an 8 F4 almost. And then obviously coming down to a 4.8 F4 with a 120 WRC plus. That's good, but
it's
still a regression.
It's a big difference in what he was doing, and that is again
Yes.
it's not to say that Gunnar Henderson's like not good or he's regressing or he's washed or blah blah. It is, excuse me. It's just to say that like that's a very big step back, right? Because he lost a lot of the power hitting in 2025, right? That he had in 2024, even 2023 when he hit almost 30 bombs. He just didn't have the same level of power hitting this year. Now maybe he gets it back in 2026. Who knows? Maybe he's able to move closer.
Yeah, they're still waiting for that Jackson Holiday breakout too.
Yes,
which obviously is still very young, but like it's just more so these are great supporting pieces they brought in. Obviously, guys like Pete Alonso, Taylor Ward being more important, pieces, but they still need the guys that they already had on their roster to step up, because if they keep declining or they keep performing how they did last year on what felt like an off year for everybody, then there's no doubt in my mind that they're gonna have struggles unless they could right the ship, because you can bring in players all you want, but if nobody else is doing anything, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like even if a lot of these offseason, like these guys they brought in, they end up performing well, you need your guys to perform first. That is what made up, like, their top players right now. Before the offseason, they made up a good chunk of the core from even a few years ago when they made the playoffs. You need these guys to be on top of things, right? You can't have, like you said, Jackson Holiday having struggling again, Adley Rutschman being a 1-win player. You know what I mean? Things like that. You just can't have that if you want to be competitive. And this is not to say that these guys can't turn around or they can't do this or whatever. It's just saying, if it doesn't matter what the off season, what these new guys do, if we have a grand repeat of 2025 from everybody else, it just won't matter. You know what I mean? It won't be enough. But all in all, they did I would say they did a pretty good job improving this team.
Yeah.
They were a lot bolder with some moves, which we really like to see. Obviously, they missed the ace, but that probably bringing in that ace pitcher probably would have put this somewhere in the range of an A-, whatever. But for what it is, it's a pretty good offseason. So we'll continue on. The Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
Another team that had, spoiler alert, I'll say, I think they had a fantastic offseason.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say the biggest addition they brought in was Ronher Suarez. Obviously, having a very good year in Philadelphia. Also bringing in Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras, Johan Oviedo. They did lose Bregman, which it was looking like that would be a tough one. But bringing in Contreras definitely helps.
I would say that they pretty comfortably, I'd say, offset that loss just on the position player side alone.
Yeah.
Contreras. They also got Caleb Durbin, seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't even remember there being rumblings when that happened. I checked my phone and Caleb Durbin's a Red Sox. I'm just like, what? What? Wait, Jeff, what are we doing? What are you talking about? What do you mean? So, obviously the loss of Alex Bregman will hurt, but they got a really solid first baseman in Wilson Contreras, who I would, say pretty comfortably, his production the last couple of years is sustainable. Should be having another really good season this year. Caleb Durbin is under control, has team control. He was good in 2025. Should be another, solid everyday player there. They have, a super rotation now. That's the big thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sonny Gray definitely worries me with his lack of velocity and facing some of the power bats he's going to face in this division. That kind of scares me. But he seemed to make it work.
The thing with Sonny Gray is, yes, you are correct. He does, he's not pure, dominant in the way, a Garrett Crochet is, right? Where he's overpowering you and he's this and that. he still, even with a lack of velocity compared to a lot of pitchers today, he still gets really good chase. He still has really he has some of the best breaking stuff in the league. Still.
Yeah.
Um,
And he throws like 7 different pitches too.
run value on his breaking balls is the 97th percentile. He literally has some of the best breaking stuff in the entire league. Plus, he doesn't walk guys, and here's the way I look at it. Right, you went last year. Your 1, 2, 3. What do you want to say it was? It was Crochet, Bayo, and what? Giolito.
Yeah, probably.
Now your 1, 2, 3 is like Crochet, Suarez, and Sonny Gray is your 3. Brian Bayo's like your 4
definitely improved
now.
Also, and then you also have guys
Oviedo,
like Tully and Early.
Like people forget about Oviedo.
Make...
He is really good too.
Yeah. I remember when that trade was made, we talked about it, and I said I love that as a guy who could be on the back end of that rotation. I do like that a lot, because obviously if they brought him in, which at the time would be like their number 2 or 3, I didn't love it.
I don't think they had got Sonny Gray yet, right?
No. But then getting Suarez and Gray, bumping Oviedo down, that makes it good. And yeah, like Tully and Early being 2 guys who can make an impact in this rotation somewhat early in the season, I'd imagine, like as early as maybe like May or June, depending on injuries, depending on, you know, who's doing what. So that rotation could get even better.
Yeah, like I don't think it's even an argument that they got better. Like the only like the piece about like obviously they lost Brad Good, it sucks. Giolito gave you some good innings last year, but like the rotation is miles ahead of what it was. They went from having a pretty shaky rotation last year, I would say, despite having one of the best pitchers in baseball, to having one of the top rotations in baseball. Like it's up there.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where it would rank off the top of my head. I haven't thought about it that hard right now, but it definitely ranks among baseball's top rotations right now. Like that rotation is ridiculous right now. Like, Sonny Gray is like your 3, Brian Bayo's your 4 now when he was your 2.
And now you have flexibility with the emergence of Roman Anthony, because I say emergence if he wasn't, you know, one of the best hitting prospects in a long time, but emergence is in he's actually up and playing. With having a guy like him, and then 2 unbelievable defenders in Wilyer Abreu and Cedric Rafaela, who obviously Abreu has really emerged with his bat too, but Rafaela being one of the best defenders in the sport, you really could move on from Jarren Duran now.
Mm-hmm. I think this year it's going to happen. We've been hearing it.
Yeah.
We heard it this offseason. We heard it at the deadline.
But
real ones remember when we were floating around Jarren Duran and, you know, Dylan Cease stuff.
The Phillies or the Padres, yeah. The one thing I will say is the reason I'm not going to be able to give this an A grade is because I still don't think they filled the Devers hole.
You know what? That's a fair way to look at it. You would have liked to...
I would have liked to see them get Pete Alonso. That's what I would have liked to see.
It does definitely hurt that they didn't get Pete. However, I will say that a lot of the time you're just not going to get the top guy. Like sometimes you're just not going to get your guy. Like it happens. Happens all the time. If you're shooting so hard on one guy, that guy can only go to one team. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just is what it is. They did a really good job in going, all right, we didn't get that guy. We don't just like sit on our hands for the rest of the market, right? Let's go get the next guy up. Because sometimes you do see teams do that. They miss out on their top, you know, one of their guys who's like on the top end of the free agent market who they wanted to get. They miss out and they just sit on their hands for the rest of the offseason. And there's like, yeah, that was our one opportunity to do something big, and now we're not even going to try. I still like that they went for Contreras over, I would say.
Yeah.
Like.
That's another thing.
The trade, they didn't really give up anything crazy to get him.
The option to trade for a player is always there. If you can't sign someone, you could always trade for one.
Yeah,
and when,
that's what they did.
You know, you need a guy. So.
I guess I'm probably going to be a little more generous than you then, because I'm giving it an A. I think.
I think it's a B plus. Like I'm not far off, but that's the only reason I'm not giving it like an A minus or an A. It's just because I still feel like they have. I don't want to say it's a weak lineup, but I still think they could use some more power.
They do need power.
Having a guy who can be a 25, 30 home run hitter, I'm not even saying you need to get a guy who hits 40, 50, but someone who could just hit you 25 home runs in addition to some of the guys they already have, that would go a long way.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I can safely say that a guy like Marcelo Meyer, Caleb Durbin, Yoshida are going to be very big impact back. I can't, fully safely say that.
Yeah, I think, you're right. In spite of, I would say still, they had an incredible offseason. You are correct. They
very good offseason,
need power. Excuse me, their lineup does lack a bit of pop. And that is, I think that's one of the bigger reasons why that Alex Bregman loss hurts so much. Because, he's one of the better pulled fly ball hitters in the league. Obviously, Fenway's really nice to players who pull the ball.
Yeah.
So, obviously, that is a big sting. I do think that going into the year, they have a good lineup. I don't think it's anything crazy. I wouldn't say it's bad. I'd say it's an above average lineup still. That plus their pitching, I think they're good. I think they're really good. Yeah. I think that this is one of the best off seasons in all of football.
It is, but also at the same time, when you think about it, did they do enough to cement themselves as a team that could compete over the Blue Jays or the Yankees? Time will tell.
Time will tell on that one. We will move on to our next team. This one, the New York Yankees. So, their big additions for the offseason, if you can call some of these additions, we're bringing back Cody Bellinger, Trent Grisham, and Paul Goldschmidt, and Ahmed Rosario, and trading for Ryan Weathers. That's the real addition.
Ryan Weathers is the only addition they had to the team that wasn't currently under contract the season prior.
Yes,
that really worries me, because I'll say this though. They didn't lose a ton. Yes, Devin Williams, yes, Luke Weaver. I mean, obviously Weaver wasn't as good as he was, and Devin Williams definitely picked it up later in the year, but it's they didn't do too much to make them better, but at the same time, they were so good last year where, they don't need to necessarily get much better. They just need to kind of bring the band back, but I don't know if we can see the same seasons we did from some of their players.
I would argue that they come into the offseason. So let's just start. I'm gonna take you end of the regular season, right? I would say, yeah. I would have said at that time, and I did say this at the end of the regular season, that they had probably the best, one of the best lineups in baseball. I would have said that they had the best performing lineup in ball that year, right? I'm pretty sure I said that coming into the postseason.
Yeah.
Great. I also said that there are guys that you probably shouldn't be expecting to replicate what they were doing. I don't know if I can expect Trent Grisham to hit almost 35 bombs again. There's some things there, man. Paul Goldschmidt's getting older, and plus he wasn't that good past the first little bit of the season, and you brought him back for seemingly to platoon and take ABs away from Ben Rice, who, if anyone who has listened, I think, and I'm pretty sure you share the same opinion as me, that guy's a budding star.
He just can't play the catcher position.
He should just play first base. It's that simple. Just don't catch him. Wells can catch him.
I would say DH, but that's kind of hard to do when you have the corpse of Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah. Which I say corpse not because he's not productive with the bat. I say corpse because he can only play DH.
He gets cooked. His body tries to cook him a little bit.
Yeah.
But even with something like Ben Rice, I think if he gets the opportunity and a little bit of luck on his side, he's a star. He will be one of the best hitters in the whole league. Obviously, Aaron Judge is what he is, but do keep in mind, he is starting to get up there in age. I'm not saying that a hard regression is coming in 2026, but I am just pointing out that he's 33 right now. He will be 34 very soon. Just putting it out there. I I think there's reason to believe. I don't think it's going to come for maybe another 2 seasons, but there's reason to believe that Bellinger could see a little bit of regression. Some people aren't as high on Jazz. I think Jazz is ridiculously good.
I think Jazz is very good.
I think Jazz is ridiculous, but there's people out there who are a little skeptical on him. What I'm getting at is there's reason to be skeptical of certain parts of the Yankee lineup, and really all they did was just bring the band back together. And also, they had a very obvious weakness going into the offseason. That was their bullpen. Their bullpen was not good in the latter half of the season, and they came into the offseason needing bullpen help, I would say. Right? Yeah. You did not add a single relief pitcher. That's bad. And you lost... I understand Luke Weaver wasn't as good latter half of the season, but he was one of your better relievers overall for the year. Yeah. Devin Williams.
And I like some of the guys they did get last year. I like Bednar. I like Doval. I like what we saw from Fernando Cruz. They have some good pitchers guys, in there, but
they have some solid relievers.
But they just didn't add to it as the issue.
They didn't add to it, and they lost 2 guys who overall were / are going to be good this year. Like Devin Williams, I understand his results were down, but we said this coming into the offseason, like even if he regresses a little bit in terms of like his strikeout, walk stuff, whatever, he's gonna be a top 15 reliever in baseball, and you just are not gonna have that. I understand again his results in 2025 weren't as good. His ERA was up there, whatever. He's still really good. That's not something I think you can deny. Luke Weaver for a good chunk of the season produced really well for them, and they lost both of those guys. I think that is a problem. Once you get past the, Doval, Bednar, Fernando Cruz, for most of the season was really good. It starts to, it's not as great. You know what I mean? I think the reason that we looked at this bullpen, obviously they made all the additions at the deadline, and we looked at this bullpen, and you saw Devin Williams, Luke Weaver's in there. Now they got David Bednar, Doval, and who else did they get? It was Jake Bird.
Yeah.
Who they sent down pretty quick, I think, but I think actually he has potential to be pretty damn nice. Was there someone else, or am I forgetting anybody?
I
think that was it, right? I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. Yeah. But overall, I do think that they kind of needed to add to that, especially given the context of you're in a very competitive division. Toronto was really good. Baltimore is coming. Well, okay, maybe not coming, but they went for it this offseason. They were very clearly trying to be competitive in 2026, right? The Red Sox made the postseason last year, and they had, I would argue, one of the best off seasons of baseball. Toronto had a really good off season. They were going for it too. What did you do to become better than those guys? Right?
Yeah,
Ryan
and
is a solid pitcher, but that was quite literally your only major league caliber addition.
Yeah, and since they obviously didn't get much, they didn't do anything to really improve. They also didn't do anything to get worse, which is why I feel comfortable giving them a C. It's not D level bad where it's they got significantly worse, but it's meh. It's whatever. It's mid. It's just okay, whatever. You're just running it back.
Yeah. I would argue it's I'm debating if I want to go C- or D+ here. I'm going to go D+. Not because I think that they got so much worse and they lost these guys and blah, but I think that in the position that the Yankees were in, they kind of needed to add guys, right?
Yeah.
Again, they're in a super competitive division. The most competitive division in the entire sport. Not close.
If I'm being honest, I think they were kind of expecting Grisham to not take the qualifying offer.
I think so too. And I think that it was kind of whoa. You know what I mean? Because, a lot of people, to be fair, even after he got offered it, they were projecting him to go sign this for 4 years. 4 years, 55, 60, whatever.
Yeah, I thought he would be a great fit. I thought he'd be a great fit with the Orioles. That's what I said, yeah.
But we didn't expect him to take it. But to be honest, it's not really hard to understand why he would. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's a good situation, too, playing for the Yankees, for a team that's, contending.
Yeah. But, again, I don't think you can expect Trent Grisham to do that again. I think you should be not saying he won't do it again, but there's plenty of reason to believe that that won't happen again.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that over the last 2 months of the season, they were playing at a 104 win pace. So when this team kind of has it together, and by together, that's also including the absence of Garrett Cole, who will be back at some point this season. Yep. When you look at it from that perspective,
who apparently, by the
it's
way,
really not the
Garrett
end
Cole,
of the
I just
world.
want to say something really quick. Apparently, Garrett Cole's looked really good in his throw sessions. I haven't been paying too close attention to that, but from what I've seen, apparently he's looking really good. Anyways, continue. You were.
But yeah, I was saying, obviously playing at a 104 win pace over the last 2 months. That's a 34-19 record. There's a lot to like from the team of what they're capable of doing, but it's just like they say, you can never have too much depth. You can never add too much, especially when it comes to the bullpen. If you didn't want to go out there and sign a big name bat, fine, whatever. You can have the lineup that can hang still with any other team in baseball for sure. You gotta at least go after a relief. Whether it's bringing Devin Williams back, whether it's going, whether it was going after like an Edwin Diaz or a Suarez, it's just somebody. You had to get somebody. Failed to do that, and the pitching is just kind of iffy as of right now as a whole. Obviously, once some of the starters come back, like Rodon and Cole, the rotation will be fixed. But as far as the bullpen goes, they have some pretty tall orders from a bunch of their guys who probably haven't been put in situations that they're going to be put in this upcoming season.
Yeah, so it's shaky. It's shaky.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna slightly amend my grade. I'm gonna say C- because you're right. They didn't get that much worse, but I think they had to do more.
Yes.
They had to do more. It's just the position.
Especially when you have, the amount of money that they're able to spend.
It's just the position that they're in with where their team's at, where the teams around them are at.
Yeah.
Their division is extremely competitive. I'm not saying they will or they won't, but it's not that far-fetched to say that they get jumped by, let's say, the Red Sox and the Orioles, right? Again, I would not project the Orioles to be better than them right now. Spoiler alert, I would not.
Right.
But it's not that far-fetched to say that, maybe some things go the Orioles' way, some things slightly don't go the Yankees' way, and the Orioles are finish ahead of them, the Red Sox finish ahead of them, Toronto finishes ahead of them, and then, it's not that great. It's not a good look. So, it is what it is there. All right.
The Rays.
The Tampa Bay Rays. They had an off season, I guess. They had an okay off season. They did some weird additions. They didn't really go for it. They did lose some key pieces. They were actually in the playoff race for the first half of the season or so. Obviously they let some guys go. They traded Brandon Lau. They traded Shane Baz.
That trade I still don't understand at all.
Which one? The
one where they traded Lau, and they traded Montgomery, and they traded Mangum, but it's just they got Jacob Melton, and the big thing with the Rays is that their offense, their outfielders ranked last in baseball in home runs and fifth last in OPS. So obviously getting a guy like Mullins will help a little for the home run aspect, but that's somebody who over the past couple seasons has an OBP almost under 300.
Bro, they're trying to be the 2023 Toronto Blue Jays, bro.
And Melton, which was the big return in the trade, is a very good defensive guy who is a question mark of a bat. So it's kind of like, did you address that? And it was just such an interesting trade because Montgomery is absolutely disgusting. And obviously the Rays getting rid of a reliever, it's not a big deal because we know what they do with relievers.
They'll pump out another.
It's more it's more so getting rid of Lau and getting rid of Mangum and not really doing anything to improve offensively Like Mullins, I just can't see being that good at this point.
Yeah.
And he's like the big bat they added, which is concerning.
Mm-hmm. Like obviously they have guys there already, like Yandy Jr., Aranda. Like they have guys there already, but it's like their offense isn't that great. They're just not that spectacular overall. Um, I do wonder though what they would have had to do in order to, be competitive in this division, especially considering like how good, number one, how good the Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays already were, and then also how
Yeah,
hard the Orioles, Jays, and Red Sox went this offseason.
and this is the problem with the Rays, and their lack of spending is finally going to catch up to them because we saw over the past 10 years or so how good they could be. Consistently making the playoffs, winning the division a couple times, making the World Series. But, now it's really showing like, okay, we'll get to what the Blue Jays did, but what the Yankees can do, what the Red Sox did, what the Orioles can do. They're signing some big free agents. Obviously, the Yankees not doing that this year, but
But a lot of the
previous
time they
years.
do.
And then you see the Rays, and it's like they don't have the money to hang with some of these big dogs in the AL East. They don't have the money to go out there and get a Pete Alonso.
Their
They
biggest
don't have the
signing was
money.
Nick Martinez on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, they don't have the money to get a Pete Alonso. They don't have the money to get an Okamoto or a Dylan Cease level player. So they're really handicapped, and it's unfortunate. The one big contract they've given out recently was to a guy who is no longer in the league.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
not their fault,
Yeah,
obviously, by any
they
means.
couldn't see that part coming.
But it's more so the fact that like they have not been good spenders at all, ever.
They just haven't been spenders.
And
Period.
if you want to compete in this division, you're gonna have to open up the wallet a bit.
You have to.
And that's not to say that you can't build a good farm system and have your prospects come out and do good things. But
you can have a good team by developing
you
players. Like we see.
you look at the best teams in the league; they have a good mixture of homegrown talent and free agents. The Rays have always been a team that has relied on players that have went through their system that they've called up, they've developed.
Good player
And
development, whether that's
unfortunately,
for contributions for your team or trade assets into improving your team
yeah,
that way.
unfortunately, they just didn't do much this offseason in terms of bringing contributors in to the point where I feel safe saying they're the worst team in this division.
Oh yeah, I would say so. I don't really think twice about that. With all due respect to the
No.
Rays and Rays fans and all that, I don't love their offseason,
Yeah.
but I also do gotta say, like, the other teams did go pretty hard, so I don't really like I'm not gonna sit here and give them like an F. Like that's ridiculous, but like I don't know, like a C maybe.
I mean, I would give them a better grade. I would say probably a C minus or D plus. I would say the thing that's making me not want to give them a great grade is that trade they made. Because I just don't think Jacob Milton's doing anything
Yeah.
in terms of like offensively. Like, what
Yeah.
is he bringing to your team that you didn't have already? What is he doing that a guy like Chandler Simpson or even Johnny DeLuca, what is he doing that they're not doing?
Like it is very obvious that it was like a salary dump. Let's get something for Lau and last year's deal, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like that money's not going to get reinvested, so it is hard to look at that from that kind of lens. You know what I mean? So
No, and especially with, bringing in a guy like Gavin Lux, who we saw play a lot of left field last year. I'm not saying he's some great defensive outfielder, but he has the
good.
flexibility to. You bring in Lux, you keep Lau at second, put Lux in the outfield. The outfield is better than it is now, and your infield's also better because you keep a guy who's a consistent, power hitter who, I'm not saying it's a guy, like I said, who's hitting 50 home runs a year, but this is a guy who's coming off a season with 30 home runs. And it's not like it's the first time in his career where he can hit home runs like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it really just gets to the point where it's like, when do you say, all right, let's just, keep paying somebody to play for us instead of trading them once you realize, okay, we're going to have to give them money because, hate to break it to you, you're going to have to give good players money.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It does get to a point. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to change my grade, actually. I'm going to give him a C minus because I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because it's not great. All right, let's close out the AL East now. Going on our team, the Toronto Blue Jays. They had big offseason. They got started really early. They made one of the first like big time free agent signings. Obviously not the single first one. That was Josh Naylor, but they signed, we would say, like, one of the top pitchers on the market pretty quickly. Like a couple weeks in the offseason, boom, Dylan Cease comes in. Later they bring in Tyler Rogers. They bring in Kazuma Okamoto. They signed Cody Ponce to that deal. And then they make the move for Jesus Sanchez. They did lose a few guys: Bo Bichette, Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer, Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Well, Max Scherzer is brought back, though, so...
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that happened. That's not bad. Because, you know what's crazy? I think I saw a tweet, actually, like an hour ago that was like, yeah, he was never retiring, how good he's been over the spring.
And look, he looked good in spring training, and it's at the point where now with the injuries to Barrios, Bieber, and Savage being placed on the IL, getting Scherzer back seems that much more important now.
Yeah, and we had this conversation. Actually, I told you this when they signed him, and this was obviously before we knew the extent of who was coming into the season on the IL. I was like, how do you make this work with roster spots? Now we understand they probably knew what was going to happen, right? So, obviously, we come into the offseason. Toronto, obviously, just lost the World Series. Prayers up. They have their guys hit the market. Bo, Bassett, Scherzer hit the market too. Dominguez. And the big thing all offseason, one of them was Bo Bichette. It seemed almost, for most of the offseason, it seemed like almost like a foregone conclusion that Bo Bichette was going to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought...
I think the thing that kind of was like, oh, wait, are they actually going to bring him back, or is he going to go? It was when Okamoto signed. Right?
Yeah, but even at that point, with us seeing Bichette play at second, and down the stretch, and the possibility of him playing third...
Mind you,
I thought the chances of the Jays getting either Tucker or Bichette even after Okamoto, we were extremely high. I thought one of them was surely a Blue Jay.
I don't think that it was the nail in the coffin for Bichette.
No.
But I think it kind of made it less likely. I think it made Tucker more likely. But I think
yes, 100%.
Just because
and that's the thing. Stuff. As cool as those additions would have been, bringing Bo back or getting Tucker, at the contracts they signed, I can't even get upset that we didn't get them, because it's like those are ridiculous.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love him, one of my favorite players ever, but it's like
40 a year.
Get your bag, King. Get your bag.
You got that. Obviously, they were rumored on Kyle Tucker for pretty much up until he signed. I'm not sure. I don't remember where I saw this, but I think I saw somewhere that they offered him like 10 years, $350, which. You look at what the Dodgers offered him. I can't blame you. You got that. Overall, though, I think when you compare what Toronto lost, Bichette, Bassett, Sir Anthony, I guess if you want to throw like Joey Loperfido with that, but I don't really think that's that important to matter as much. I think the big ones are Bo, Bassett, and Sir Anthony. You compare that versus brought in. Cease, Okamoto, Tyler Rogers. Whew.
I think it's very fair to say that they got better.
I think like they had an incredible offseason. They got Dylan Cease, who I think is number one, is a lot better than people give him credit for. He is going to be incredible in 2026. His expected numbers, his underlying numbers in 2025 were incredible in 2025, even if the ERA wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
And listen, for people who have been listening for a while, we were talking, us. We've been talking of Dylan Cease, how good he is since like July, since June. Pretty much.
I'm a big process over results guy to an extent, in the sense of like, I would rather somebody who has insane peripherals, whose stats don't look like, oh, this guy's like incredible, to a guy that you look at his peripherals, like, how the hell is this guy doing this? There's no way he's sustaining this.
You remember when we were talking about at the deadline? When people were floating around like Jarren Duran maybe to the Padres, and I said, all right, how about the Dylan Cease for Duran thing? And we were talking about like, His underlying numbers look really good. Like, don't let that ERA fool you. Dylan Cease is really good. We were saying this in like June or July. Like, we've been here, right? We've been here. Like, we're on that. Okamoto they brought in, obviously, like being the two big players coming in from overseas. He was compared a lot to Murakami, and understandably so. I think the consensus now that I have a little bit of a better understanding compared to the beginning of the offseason, Okamoto's a little bit more like refined, but Okamoto's more raw. And I think that's why Murakami didn't go for as much as he did.
Okamoto has a higher floor, but Murakami has a higher ceiling.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Yes, Okamoto I think is a little bit more of like you can be more confident, and he's going to just be a productive MLB player. But Murakami, I think his ceiling is higher. Like he has.
That's the thing. I fully expect Okamoto at worst to come in, be a 115 WRC plus bat with 17 to 20 homers at worst. That's what I envision. Murakami, the thing with him is he strikes out almost 30% of the time. He does walk a lot. He does hit home runs. The issue is more so the strikeout problem, and he's not really a hitter like Okamoto is, in the sense of like Murakami. It's not home run or bust, but he's not someone who's going to be slapping singles all around the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, if he's not hitting home runs, his value diminishes, because we saw him hit 40, 50 home runs a year for the most part in the NPB. And obviously it worked there. Have to see it here. If he can be a 130, 140 WRC plus bat with 35 home runs, like some people think he can be at some point, obviously it's going to be hard to say that Okamoto will be better than that. But right now, I think that Okamoto is probably the more MLB-ready hitter.
Yeah. And another insane addition. Do you remember what we said about Tyler Rogers at our off-season prediction video? I don't remember what your words were, but we pretty much had the same agreement. And I remember the words I used was age-proof.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I remember those were the words I used when I predicted him to go back to the Mets. I said age-proof. Tyler Rogers is also really fucking good. I remember when this deal got signed, people were saying, well, they gave him like 4 years, whatever. And I understand he is older, but this is not the kind of player that you have to worry about being affected by age a whole lot, because he's not someone who relies super heavy on like overpowering you, right?
Right.
He is a big time contact manager. He has really good control. I don't think that those are things that are gonna suddenly magically go away.
Right.
And we've been saying this, right? We've been saying this. I don't see those things going away. And so I think for someone like him, you add him to the back end of this Blue Jays bullpen. He's there with Hoffman. He's there with Louis Varland.
It's the guys who's it's when they're not, like, if your main thing as a reliever, the main thing that makes you better than the other pitcher is velocity and stuff like that, that's when age will catch up to you.
Yes.
But when it's something like he does, which puts like no stress on the elbow, which I mean is the reason why he's able to pitch as many innings as he does in relief and pitch as often as he does, that's when you can kind of withstand father time, because it's like, it's not doing anything to, permanent, or to like any long-term effects to the elbow. It's not something that's just going to go away the way he pitches. And that's why he's been able to have a career as long as this one and be able to continue it even more.
Yep. He's going to come in to this bullpen. He's going to be, I think what's going to happen, I think this is the ideal role. He's that guy, you come in 7th, 8th inning, whatever, you're in a big jam. You got to get out of it. This is the guy who's
ground
ball
double play. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like literally what they did against in the WBC against the DR. He comes in against Soto, gets that double play. Boom. Those kind of situations, right? Because of just how reliable he is on that. Again, he's not going to overpower you with his stuff in the same way that like someone like Who's a top reliever in the league? Like a Mason Miller, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to have the velocity. He's not going to have the overpowering dominance of someone like that.
He's not throwing 102 by you for sure.
But because of his really good control, he gets a lot of he has really good control. He gets a lot of ground balls. He does not allow very many hard hit balls. He's among the best in the league in all three of those categories. Those are really, really useful and really valuable.
Yeah.
That is why he had a sub-2 ERA last year. That is why he has been really good over the past few seasons. He's been good multiple years in a row, right? And I find it really hard to believe that that's just suddenly going to change. So,
yeah.
With all that said, oh, by the way, also Cody Ponce, fantastic value deal, 3 years, $30
He's been
million.
unreal in spring training, but he has looked unbelievable.
Oh, he has.
His splitter is absolutely disgusting.
We said this coming into the offseason. Like, this guy completely reinvented himself over there, right?
Yeah.
He throws harder. His entire pitch arsenal is different. We saw people saying, like, oh, but when he was last in the big leagues, blah, blah, blah. He's not the same pitcher. Like, literally nothing about this guy is the same. Not a thing.
Yeah, and when the rotation's healthy, he's your 5th or 6th best starter.
Yes.
And that is saying something to the depth in this, pitching staff that Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro have given up.
Yeah, when that rotation's fully healthy, it's like Cease, Gosman, Savage, Bieber, Ponce, something like that.
Yeah.
Depending on how Scherzer goes, he actually could be the 5th guy. I don't know. Depending on how his season goes. We'll see how everything goes for Toronto, but overall, I say this is one of the better off seasons of ball. This is among the top ones. I understand they lost Bo Bichette. I don't think that Chris Bassett was that huge of a loss in terms of a on-field value kind of thing. I don't think Sir Anthony was that crazy.
Off the field, that's the thing. Off the field, it's definitely going to hurt. He was loved by everyone, and he spoke to how close the team was, but that's the business side of things at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, it is what it is. I would say that they had like an A- offseason. A-.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say A- is very fair.
Yep. All right. So, we will go to
Central.
We will go to the AL Central. We will start with the Chicago White Sox. So, obviously, the big things of their offseason, they brought in like a Murakami, right? That was their biggest offseason addition, pretty easily. They had some other key ones here, like, they had some other interesting ones here or there, like they brought in Sir Anthony Dominguez, which is kind of interesting. The big one was they traded Luis Robert.
Yep.
They got Luis Angel Acuna in that move. I don't think this offseason is anything crazy for them, but to be fair, I'm not looking at the White Sox as a team to go crazy in the offseason. Like, I think that would be a really weird expectation. But I'm not going to say like they had a bad offseason, but I'm not going to say like it was fantastic.
And much like Cody Ponce, they got a guy in Anthony Kay who kind of reinvented himself. I think the worst part about the Anthony Kay thing is now they're going to have to deal with Bobby Kay, his brother, on Twitter, the fans. So that's probably like the biggest, like, unfortunate part. I think he can be good, but I don't know. I don't think anybody's good enough to have to deal with Bobby Kay. So,
Yeah, I would listen if it meant if I was the Dodgers and I had to trade Ohtani to make sure that Bobby Kay's never coming near my franchise, I'm saying goodbye. I think it's gotta happen.
Yeah, he's like Ben Verlander, but like 10 times worse.
Ooh, not Ben Verlander. The top one.
Yeah, at least Ben Verlander has a career of himself.
He does. He has made it.
Life isn't.
Even if
his life
isn't.
Yeah.
He's made a career.
Anyway, to the actual baseball side of things.
Yeah,
Luis Robert is somebody who is another guy whose name has been thrown around for years on end. Like, is he going to get traded?
Years. Like 4 years, maybe. That's what it's felt like. I still am at a point where I'm like, I don't really think he's all that, to be honest with you. Like, I think he's kind of cooked. And granted, I understand that I am not one to just simply look at, strictly your results and be like, oh, well, this is, whatever. But At the same time, he chased a lot. He wasn't hitting the ball super hard. Like his barrel percentage was okay, ish. Like it was a little bit above average. Um, his defense could be good, but like I don't know. I don't really love Luis Robert, and so I don't really think he had much of a place on the White Sox. I think it was time to go. I think it's kind of been time to go, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Teams kind of hold on to guys and they lose value, and I think that's kind of something that happened there. Like I feel like
a lot of value. I think.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Like, not that I think Luis Angel Acuna is like some ridiculous transcendent prospect or anything like that, but like, I'm surprised they got that much for him. I'll be so honest with you. I'm surprised he netted that.
Yeah.
Murakami is an interesting one. Like we said, he is a very raw player. When you compare him to someone like Okamoto, they were compared a lot coming into the offseason. Murakami's ceiling is higher, right? He has like he walks a lot, he strikes out a lot, but he also has like 40 home run potential, right?
Yeah.
They got him on a pretty cheap deal. Like 2 years, was it $34 million? I remember I was surprised when this happened. I was like, whoa.
I mean, they definitely seem to take out of their like design budget because they misspelled his name on his nameplate on the locker when they brought him in. So clearly the money was taken from somewhere. But
I forgot about that, man. My God.
The biggest signing that your team's made in years, and you do that. It's pretty funny. I can't lie. But yeah. I mean, obviously that's good. I like it for him because he's not put in a situation where they're expected to win now, where he has to be good immediately. He's put in a position where he's able to develop. They're allowing him to kind of, go at his own pace. It's only, what is it, like a 2-year deal, right? So
it's 2 years, 34, yeah.
So if, for whatever reason, for whatever reason they decide, like, hey, let's just trade him, or hey, development's looking good, we can re-sign him, whatever it is, they have options, and this is probably the best thing for Murakami's development, because if he went to a contender, then I think issues would have occurred, because it's really just, about getting him used to the new environment, with the whole thing about him not being able to hit high velocity, which people said was an issue. I think that being able to get put in a situation where you're not expected to be, if you went to a team like the Dodgers or the Blue Jays, then obviously the pressure would have been immense, and he would have been expected to, be a 30-plus home run hitter year one, or else he'd be a massive disappointment. Whereas in Chicago, the lights aren't too bright. He's able to go at his own speed. He's able to actually get comfortable and not be just, thrown into the ring and expected to be some superstar.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, for the White Sox, too, it's extremely low risk. Because let's say the development does backfire, he's not that great. Congratulations. He is on a 2-year contract.
And it's good for the fans, too. Like, hey, we're doing something. We're bringing you a fun player. Yeah. Yes, we're still in a situation where the team's not competing for the playoffs, but at least you have a shiny new toy to play with, and it's a fun one.
Yeah, exactly. And if he is good, then you have a lot of options. You can potentially re-sign him beyond this current 2-year deal. You have the option to trade him as well. That will net you something. You have those options if he's good. And if he's not good, great. Then you just don't have to bring him back after 2 years. I think similarly of the Sir Anthony Dominguez signing. If he's not good for you, which I imagine he'll be good, then great. He's on a 1-year deal. It doesn't really matter. But if he is good, great. You can just trade him at the deadline. Like, it's not that, it's not a high-risk thing. I don't think that the White Sox are, like, going to be good by any means. But, like, they already are good. I think expecting them to be contenders in 2025 is, like, kind of an insane expectation. So I'm not going to grade it on that front. I'd say it's, like, a C+. Probably off season for them.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, next up we got.
We should probably go a little faster, but
yeah. We'll go the Cleveland Guardians. They did a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, not much to even say if we wanted to.
They brought in Sean Armstrong.
I mean, they lost 2 players, Clase
Yeah,
and Ortiz.
yeah, they did. Not great. I don't think that there's much to say about this offseason. Like, they pretty much, they didn't do anything. They didn't add.
I do want to say this. I think it's so funny, the domino effect, that if Spencer Horwitz stays on the Blue Jays and he's not traded, there's a good chance both Clase and Ortiz are still in the league. Because Ortiz only started after he got there, and he wouldn't have gotten caught, and then Clase in turn probably wouldn't have gotten caught either.
Yeah.
So I just find that pretty funny that if Ross Atkins decided, you know what, we're keeping Horwitz, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. There isn't much to say here. Like, they didn't add a single hitter. Like, they had a bottom tier offense in the regular season. They had a miracle run in September that catapulted them into the postseason. And they didn't do anything to, like, keep themselves in contention. They kind of just said, all right, we'll run it back without Clase and Luis Ortiz. They like extended Jose Ramirez, who was already under control for the next 3 years.
Yeah, really. So it's like their big offseason move was extending a guy who they already had. So.
Who they already had for the next 3 seasons minimum, right?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna give that a D because
I'm ready to give that a D.
I'm giving it a D minus. I don't care. I mean, that's just disgusting.
You know
honestly,
what? Hell yeah. You know what? No, I'll go a step
how
further.
how are you a major league team and you just say Sean Armstrong? Now that's an off season.
Like, that's it. That was literally it. I'm gonna go a step further than you. I'm gonna give you an F. Fuck you.
I mean, you're getting outspent by the Marlins, by the Twins, by
like, that's bad.
You know, it's bad. Yeah.
It is. It's tough out here. So, we will continue. The Detroit Tigers. So, they didn't have many crazy departures. They lost Tommy Kahnle. He didn't end up coming back. Whatever. It is what it is. They brought in a Framber Valdez, which I don't know about you, was pretty surprising to me.
Oh, yeah.
They brought in Kenley Jansen. They re-signed Kyle Finnegan. They brought Justin Verlander back for the one time.
Right-hander Kyle Finnegan.
Sorry?
I said right-hander Kyle Finnegan.
Yeah. Right. Yes, right-handed pitcher Kyle Finnegan. Gleyber Torres except for the QO.
Which was probably the most obvious QO match.
Yeah, that was the single most obvious qualifying offer in the history of qualifying offers.
Probably, yes.
But
which is good for them. It's not that it's obvious because it's like, oh, he sucks, so obviously he's taking the money.
Like,
but obviously
he struggled in the second half, but he was also ridiculously good in the first half. And there are things there where it's like, you know what, he can still be good. Like, he can still be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I would also argue that their biggest addition in terms of offense is, you know, having Kevin McGonigal be on the team. I think that's the best move from the bat, and that's just a call-up. So whether you want to take that as they didn't do anything to address the lineup or they just trust the guys they have in the system, that's up to you. But I expect him to make some noise.
Yeah. They kind of solidified their bullpen. They did a pretty good job of that. Bringing Finnegan is good. They brought in Kenley Jansen. They kind of solidified their rotation too. Like, obviously you already had Skubal. You brought in, JV for like to be a back end guy. You're bringing Framber Valdez out of nowhere.
Now the big thing is Skubal going to be a Tiger past the deadline, which who knows?
The main
if
question,
things go south, he might be moved. So
the main question to like, there's a question I think that comes before that. It's, are the Tigers going to be good in 2026? I think so. I think they'll be good. If they're not good, it's as good as gone.
I think they'll be good because they're in the AL Central. I don't think they'll be good in relative to the top teams in the league.
Yeah, I don't think that they're up there with like the top teams in the AL, which are like Seattle. Toronto,
they would probably
Boston,
be the third best team in the fourth best team in the AL East.
Yeah. They get dogged in the AL East. I'm not gonna lie.
But if you look at it on the bright side, they're probably like the best team in the NL Central as well.
Here's the other thing. There's a big word in that sentence that we use, and it's if. If
Yes.
they're in the AL East. They're not in the AL East. They're in the AL Central at the end of the day. So that is what we have to look at, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad offseason by any means. I did really like it. I don't think that it's like it makes them an automatic World Series contender, but I'm comfortable enough giving them a B plus A minus grade.
Yeah, I'll give them a B plus on this. I think they're definitely better than they were in 2025. I think the Framber signing is the biggest thing in that. I also they didn't get him on super long term. I was really scared of a long term Framber deal because it looked like he was gonna try and get a 7-year deal, and I was like, that scares me.
It's also worth noting that Justin Verlander coming in to be their number 4 guy after turning it around in the second half of last season, that could be a good addition too, for sure.
Absolutely.
That one gets a bit overlooked by Framber, and the Scooble drama, but
the semantics and how cool it is, it's from a baseball
yes,
strictly from an on-field perspective, it's you know what, that's a pretty solid.
Right when they had that, I kind of wanted them to just get Scherzer if it when I didn't think we were bringing back because I just think that would be cool having Verlander and Scherzer in the same rotation.
Hey, bring David Price out of retirement, bro. Let's get everyone back together.
All right. Well, last time that happened, I mean, it didn't go too well for him. So let's pump the brakes.
Rick Porcello, get in here.
Yeah, Rick Porcello being probably the number 3 on this team would be awesome. Honestly, at this
Smiley?
point,
what are you doing?
Can you imagine?
These days?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. So we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean. Armando Galarraga, welcome back. You're throwing a perfect game this year, buddy.
Let's bring everyone back from that era. Joe Nathan, welcome back. I know he's not a
starter. I mean, Miggy looked like he was in good shape, so.
Anibal Sanchez, welcome back. Boom.
Why not?
Everyone coming back now.
Yeah.
All right, so Kansas City Royals. That is the next team on our list. They didn't do anything super crazy.
This is what I'll say. What they did is they made moves for the sake of making moves. It feels like
they didn't do anything that's super needle moving. But with that said, they made some pretty solid moves here and there. I'd say.
I love the getting Strom. That's
Matt Strom. That's beautiful. Bringing back Bailey Falter, pretty low risk, I'd say. I like them getting Isaac Collins. Pretty nice too. They didn't really lose anything that important. That's the other thing. The biggest thing they lost was Mike Yastrzemski. That's kind of it.
Maybe Zerpa if you're going based off of what he could do, but even then, I don't know. I mean, they didn't lose anyone that's changing the team, but they didn't add anybody that's really changing the team that much.
I would say that they're they're a little bit better than they were last season. They made those incremental improvements. For example, one thing that we talked about, their outfield sucks. Their outfield stinks. I'm sorry. Their outfield stunk, and they didn't go out and get a top tier outfielder. They didn't go get Kyle Tucker, but Isaac Collins is pretty good, right? That's a solid.
Yeah, and I also don't think that Starling Marte is all that bad in a depth role, a guy coming in off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And Lane Thomas.
They had some solid additions here and there, and I don't think that they lost anything super crazy. That, couldn't be offset by what they brought in. They didn't lose anything of value. They made some positive moves. I don't think it's great. I'd probably give it a B minus. If I'm giving it a grade. Like you said, Matt Strom, really good addition. I like Isaac Collins. Bring back Bailey Falter is good. Lane Thomas, solid depth move. Overall, that's not bad. That's pretty solid, Yeah. All right. We will finish the American League Central with the Minnesota Twins.
So the Minnesota Twins are one of the baseball teams in Major League Baseball. They got Josh Bell. They also got Victor Caratini. They got Josh Bell.
Josh Bell was acquired.
They also got Josh Bell. Can't forget that addition. And Victor Caratini.
And also
Josh Bell.
Don't forget Victor Caratini.
Yeah, don't sleep on Josh Bell. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what in the fuck direction this team is going in.
I don't
They won
get
their
it.
first playoff game in like 20 years in 2023. And then after that it's kind of like, all right, that's it. That we're done here. We don't need to do anything else ever again. So, yeah, I mean,
It's one thing if you want to go full teardown mode. Like if you think that this team wasn't going to do anything, then you think that, and you think that a teardown, a reset is the way to go. It sucks, but it happens here and there.
I don't think
But if you're
that
gonna
this
do
team
that,
is gonna ever be serious once the poll ads are, still in charge.
yeah, if you're going to go in direction of a full teardown, which is the direction that they seem to be heading in, at the deadline, they traded Correa, they traded Duran, then go in that direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't have to wait until Joe Ryan has 2 more months on his contract to trade it, right?
Yeah.
And if you want it to be good, well, guess what? Hey, they got Josh Bell and Victor Caratini. Don't sleep.
Yeah.
But I think that's the problem. Is like you did nothing. What did you do?
Like at
DJ
this
Khaled,
point,
what does he even do?
I think Joe Ryan, when healthy, has top 10 starting pitcher in league potential. I don't think that's even a crazy take.
Yeah, I don't think so.
As much as I love Joe Ryan, they have to trade him because you need to get a prospect haul. You need something.
You had to do one of two things this offseason. Number one was try to be good again, or continue in the direction of the teardown that you already started.
I mean, here's the problem, though.
Do that.
Even
you didn't do anything.
The Twins weren't signing anybody big. I could have said, hey, the Twins will sign Kyle Tucker and pick another free agent of your choice. They'd still be bad. They'd still have, you know what I mean?
Hold on. When I say that, though, when they say you try to be good, I'm not saying you go get, like, top guys, Kyle Tucker,
right,
Schwarber, whoever else, Cease, whoever. It doesn't even have to be guys like those. We saw teams this offseason, just be, make some solid incremental moves, right? We've seen that, right? They didn't do any of that. They got Josh Bell and Victor Caratini and called it an offseason. That was it. They didn't trade anyone. They didn't trade for anybody. That was literally all that they did. I'm not saying that even going in that direction would have made them good, but at least you have a direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least there's something there. You are trying to now steer away. You're like, you tried to hard launch a reset at the deadline, and now you don't want to do it anymore. You're scared of continuing to go on the gas. Listen, I understand that I wouldn't have gone in that direction in the first place, but if you're gonna do it, then do it. You know what I mean? You have guys that can net you value. You traded Duran, you traded Correa, Griffin Jacks. I forgot about him. You traded Griffin Jacks. You traded all these guys, and now it's what? What are you gonna do now? Are you gonna wait for Joe Ryan to lose value because his contract is now shorter? Pablo Lopez is now injured again. When you could have traded him, you could have traded either of these guys, gotten value. I don't understand Buxton. I don't understand, man. I don't understand what the direction is. What's the move?
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
It's grim. It's grim like Benjamin.
Yeah.
I almost feel like giving it an F is generous. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's give him a G for go fuck yourself.
Bro, I want to give it an I for incomplete. You gotta retake this course.
I for incompetence.
I for incompetence. That's what we're gonna. Yeah, an I for incompetence. I like that. All right.
Yeah.
We'll move on now. We'll go to the AL West. The Athletics. So they had an offseason. Their offseason, I find, wasn't really as much defined by the key moves that they made. I think it was more like them extending like Tyler Soderstrom,
Yeah,
things like that.
this is where it fully makes sense not to go out there and just sign a bunch of guys,
Yes.
because this is a young team
Yes.
who, if they make the postseason this year, that's incredible. They're ahead of schedule. But the team is built around guys like Kurtz, Langeliers, Soderstrom, Rooker, Wilson, even Butler. From the offensive standpoint, that lineup is very solid and very young.
They didn't
And
need to go
then
out here and drop bags on people.
yes,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
uh, and obviously they have some good prospects too. It's not like all their good prospects are up right now and then this is it. But yeah, I mean, with the extensions they're giving out, it's pretty apparent that what they want to do is, they're willing to spend, whether it's on their own guys or even bring in some more guys after this year. But you know, the point is, they have the makings of a team here. This
Yeah.
is a team who has a direction. The move
Yes.
to Vegas will be so good for the team in terms of, like, I think they're going to bring in more money and they're going to spend more money. I think that this is one of the rare spots where doing nothing is, like, doing almost nothing is better than doing something.
Yeah, they didn't have to go out and get a Dylan Cease or Framber
Mm-mm.
Valdez or like Suarez, either Suarez, or sorry, any of the three Suarez. Let me say, they didn't have to go and get any of those guys, right? They didn't have to go and get any bats. They didn't have to go and get pitchers. Obviously, what the team would need right now to be good is pitching, but like they have right now a ridiculously good core of position players, right? I think if I almost wonder if like going out and getting top pitchers would have been like jumping the gun a little bit. Let these guys develop for another year. There is a chance that they already are pretty solid at some point this year. In the mid-season, maybe they do something. Because like it's kind of easy to forget too. This team, they weren't like good last year. 76 wins isn't like crazy. They had like one really bad streak where they went from being around the wild card race to like over 10 games under 500. That one streak alone sunk them for the season. If they don't have one of those streaks, if their young guys progress a little bit, they get a little bit better, they're going to be around, maybe not quite wild card contention, but they're going to be knocking on the door. You know what I mean? And I think once you hit that point, then you can go in and you can bring in your pitchers, whoever you want, trade, through trade, through free agency. What do you agree?
Yeah. Also, this is very, very interesting. An article just came out a couple hours ago about Carlos Correa talking about what happened last summer in Minnesota. Apparently, he almost died of drowning.
So, what?
He was halfway between the shore and the boat, and his son was on him in a Minnesota lake, and his hamstrings and quads were cramping, and he said something along the lines of, "Lord, save me. If you save me from this, then I'll forever, owe you my life," or something like that. Or, I don't, I probably said, "If you save me from this on, I'll serve you, and I'll serve you forever." I don't know, but it's at the point where players are rather drowning than play for that organization, so...
Yo, he said, "Lord, save me." He said, "I'm going to get you out of Minnesota."
Yeah, I mean, the prayer was answered. So
the prayer was answered. He said, "All right, we're getting you up out of here." That's crazy. But yeah, like I don't think that the Athletics offseason was revolutionary. Like it's not like a particularly great offseason because they didn't add anything. But I don't really think that they needed to. You know what I mean? It's like I said at the start. Yeah. Like not every offseason should be looked at through the same lens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that, I'll give it like. What would you give it? I'm kind of leaning somewhere C plus, like C. Maybe.
For the A's, I would say it's C because they didn't really do anything. But like, based off some of the extensions they gave out last year, it could go up to, if you want to include those, like a B plus. But because they also didn't do anything stupid, that's why I'm not going lower than a
They
C.
didn't lose anything.
No.
They didn't lose any. Whether it was any guys, they didn't lose any. Like there was no moves that they made where you're like, what are you doing? You know, so whatever it is. I guess the big one is if they did lose some innings from Sean Newcomb, who was throwing really good for them last year. He had I guess he wasn't there the whole season, but they traded him, but when he was with them early in the season, he was throwing incredible for them, but granted, that's not really an off-season thing. Anyways, let's move on to the Houston Astros. So this team, they had some additions. They also had some some subtractions. They lost Framber. They traded Mauricio Dubon. They let our GOAT, Victor Caratini, go to Minnesota. Don't sleep. However, on the other hand, they made some moves too. They acquired Nick Allen from Atlanta. The biggest move of the offseason for them was signing Tetsuya Ime from overseas as an international free agent. Overall, a pretty good deal for them, I'd say.
Yeah, and also getting Loperfido back.
Yep. Shout out Jesus Sanchez, by the way.
But they lost Caratini to the big bad
But
Twins.
They did to the big bad Twins, to the big bad Minnesota Twins. Overall, I think this offseason is very hit and miss for them. Like someone like Ime is a really good addition, but on the other hand, they also lost the production from Framber. Mike Burrows should be good for them, but on the other hand, they lost other guys too, like
Victor Caratini.
Like Ime, Burrows, and Nick Allen's, not a bad, group of guys to bring in, but you lose Framber, you lose Dubon, you know what I mean? Jesus Sanchez was very productive for you last year, as well, and you traded him for, Loperfido was good in his time last year, but it wasn't a very extensive amount of time, and I don't really know how sustainable that kind of production was. So it's a little interesting. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to give it a C as well. They kind of filled the holes that the losses gave. Like, for example, losing Valdez, getting Ime, great job. Losing Sanchez, getting Loperfido back in the same move, good job. But as far as getting better, I don't know if you can say they really. I kind of think that they're in the same boat, and they're kind of relying on players to, bounce back in order for them to be good. Which, to be honest with you, at this point, with some of their guys being up there in age or having injury issues, whether it's Jordan who's had the injury issues, whether it's Correa Altuve, who Correa has the injury issues and also he's getting up there in age, and Altuve who's going to be 36 when the season starts, and it's they're kind of running out of time with this core.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that you're going to get a sudden turnaround.
Yeah, Jeremy Pena obviously very good last year, but this is. I don't know. The Ime signing is interesting for them because I don't think this team is good enough unless they somehow miraculously all stay healthy to be to win the division. But at the same time, I don't think they're in a position where they should start selling things off. They're in a very weird spot where they're in between contending and rebuilding.
Yeah.
They're kind of just there.
They're right on the end of a competitive window where they can still be good this season. They won 80. What did they win? 87 games last year. Just missed the playoffs by a game. I think actually they lost it on a tiebreaker. But they're not that. They're not super great, but they're not bad. But they're also kind of old. Where it's it's hard to extend the timeline. It's hard to get so much better right now. It's hard to do a lot of things. So I agree with your take of a C. Like, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because, like, they brought guys in, but they lost guys, and I think it kind of is just going to even itself out at the end of the day. So, it is what it is. The Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, this is pretty easily not good.
Yeah. Nope. Mm-mm.
I honestly don't even want to go over them too much because this is just it's gonna make me irrationally mad.
It's bad. It's not good.
I think everyone's seen Manoah's stats in this spring. Unfortunately, one of the biggest downfalls in the history of the sport for the most part. But yeah, so we don't really have to. We don't really have to go too much into
Do you
that.
want to give this like a D or D minus and move on?
No, I'll give them an F.
Okay, we'll give them an F and we'll honestly. Move
on. Yeah.
The Seattle Mariners. So this one, hey, you know what? We don't have to be as. What were you gonna say?
I don't know, like, how to feel about the Mariners offseason.
Why is that?
Like, obviously they lost Suarez, and he wasn't the greatest there.
He wasn't really producing anything for them. Like, specifically in his time with them, he wasn't really producing anything.
Lost Polanco, but the team took a really big step, making it, they were, a game away from their first ever World Series appearance. And they're kind of running the same team back. I just would have liked to see a big bat be signed rather than just bringing back Naylor and calling that an offseason.
Yeah,
they did get Donovan. They did get Donovan. But I don't know. Something in me wishes they did a little more. I don't think it's a bad offseason. I think it's a good offseason, sure. But
I personally really like it.
I just think that they could have done a little more. Now, I don't know exactly what I would have done if I was in, the shoes of Jerry Dipoto, but something. It's just, is Cal Raleigh gonna hit 60 home runs again? No, probably not. Is Josh Naylor, Julio Rodriguez, Randy Rosarena, it's so, like, they need their guys that they currently have, and it's true with every team, but they need their guys to be their guys. They didn't get outside help, so they really need their guys to not decline and not regress at all.
Mm-hmm. There, to an extent, is like, I kind of understand what you're saying.
I think it's a B+.
You go into the offseason, Cal Raleigh's not going to put up 20-25 again. With all due respect, like, no catcher's ever done that. I don't... Like, Cal Raleigh is not it's like a... What's the word? Is not a perennial 60 home run hitter. Like, with all due respect, nobody is. Not even Aaron Judge is that, respectfully.
Yeah.
He's not going to put up a top 5 catcher season of all time again. Top 3, whatever you want to say it is. It's not going to happen. If he regresses to a 6 WAR, you take that and you run. Right? You take it and run. With that said, bringing back Josh Naylor was big. They needed to bring back one of those guys. Losing Suarez, I don't really think it was that big of a deal. You know why? Because he wasn't good for them at all. I think that pretty much no matter who you plug in at third base right now, you are getting more value than what Suarez was bringing. On top of that, I don't think that losing Polanco is that crazy. He got paid, and either way, you brought in Brendan Donovan, who is about as good of a hitter as Polanco. You have a little bit of control. I think Brendan Donovan has a little bit more upside than Polanco. A little more versatile as well. So I think their lineup is probably just about as good, maybe a little bit better. I don't know. When you factor in the fact that Suarez was not doing anything for them. They got Jose Ferrer. For Harry Ford, who is not, I don't really think he has much value. I think that Jose is really, really good. I think that's a really good addition for them. We talked about it when the trade went down. That's a really nice move for Seattle to get another lefty down there with Gabe Spire. That another like really good lefty at that. Because like Caleb Ferguson was all right, but he wasn't anything crazy. I personally really like this offseason from them. I do agree that like you look at a guy like Cal Raleigh and you say, well, yeah, he's not going to hit 60 again. But if he regresses to a 40 home run season, 135 WRC plus, 5.5 WAR, whatever, you take it and you run. You run. You sprint. You're doing a full sprint. Right?
Yeah.
You factor in that Josh Naylor is there. You have primarily your offensive core revolves around Cal, Julio, Naylor, Randy, and Brendan Donovan, right? You have other guys in there too, like you're going to have like JP Crawford also getting some ABs in there, but that's like your core. That's your core of your offense right there. That's pretty nice. That's a pretty nice core. With whatever that ends up, however they end up supplementing that, potentially during the season. Obviously we'll wait and see on that.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, I think that's a really good, I think it's a really good core of position players. The rotation's still obviously really good, but strictly based on their offseason moves, I would give it an A-. You know what I mean? You didn't lose anything. Like, the most value you lost was the offense that Jorge Polanco brought you.
Yeah.
Nothing else of that much value was lost. And you brought in a good amount, or you brought stuff back that you needed to bring back. So, that's why I look at that. I give it an A- for Seattle.
Yeah, I say B+, which obviously is
Pretty
one
close.
tier, like
Pretty
one
close. It's
mark down, but
marginally different.
Yeah.
All right. We'll finish off the AL West, the Texas Rangers. Ethan, give us your first thoughts on the Rangers offseason.
Yeah, so I love the Mackenzie Gore edition. I still find the Simeon Nimmo trade interesting for both teams. It's like kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where I don't really know if they got better, but they also didn't really get worse. And a team that was definitely not contending for the AL West last year or this year.
To be fair,
still,
they were right there until like the last week of the year. They lost.
Let me rephrase it. On paper, probably shouldn't be contending in the sense of when you look at their lot, you see some of the names they have and the stats they put up. I think that they didn't do enough to cement themselves as a team that's going to probably win the division. I think that they've got a very steep hill to climb if they want to. I don't think they address their needs quite enough on the offensive part of the field to really say, like, yes. Like, I'm not super scared of this lineup, I should say.
Yeah,
Like, yes, I think Langford's very good. Seager's obviously very good. But, like, I don't know. If I'm seeing, like, Josh Young, Josh Smith, Evan Carter, I'm not, like, shaking in my boots. I'm not, like, Jock Peterson. I'm not like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Ezekiel Duran. I'm not like, oh no, he's gonna do. You know what I mean?
When the time of the season comes around that it's time to go play Texas at home or on the road, I'm not super scared. Like that, like,
yeah.
Like I get what you're getting at. Like that lineup, you're right. It's not really all that good. Simeon is like a positive value player, but also like he wasn't that great last year. I think their offense is like a little bit better just because Nimmo is a better offensive player than Marcus Simeon. They lost Adolis, but he also wasn't good for them last year. Like, but even so, they didn't really do much to address it besides bringing in Brandon Nimmo. Obviously, Mackenzie Gore is like good. I don't think he's that insane. I really don't see him being anything. I mean, he's their 3 starter right now, and I think that's truly just what he is. He has good strikeout stuff, but he has issue with the walks. The contact numbers aren't really that great. I am not. I don't think I'm quite as high on him as you are. Um, so I don't
On
love
who did you
it.
say?
Sorry.
On who did you say?
On
Sorry.
Gore.
Oh, Gore. Yeah, I mean, I just it's just more so like because the emergence of Leiter, Jacob DeGrom, and how Evaldi played, Mackenzie Gore coming in and being able to not be like the ace of the staff
Mm-hmm.
like he would have just kind of counted on the Nationals and kind of be the 3 or 4 of the rotation. That's what I like about it
Yeah,
more than the fact that like yeah
yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. I just I don't like nothing that they did this offseason blows me away. You know what I mean? There's nothing that they did this
yeah
offseason I'm like, oh, like that's nice. You know what I mean? Whereas
yeah
everything they did, it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You know, that's like the best reaction I could get out of anything this offseason from them. So
yeah.
it's hard for me to give them anything higher than like a C. But I also didn't think they did anything to get worse. So I give them a
Yeah, it's one of
C.
those things where I'd probably have to say a C. It's just kind of middle of the pack. Like, they didn't say, like, okay, we're going out there, we're going to have a great offseason, bring in a bunch of guys to make this team significantly better, but they also didn't kind of say, all right, let's sell off what we can and just kind of stay put.
Yeah,
Like, or not stay put, but, like,
they were doing
reduce.
things, but like what they lost, what they brought in, it was like, overall, like maybe they could contend for a playoff spot this year, but I don't really know how good I think this team is. Anyways, let's
Yeah.
go to the National League. We'll start in the NL East. We'll start the Atlanta Braves. This is one of the better off seasons in the sport. I don't think it's like one of the top off seasons in the sport, but it was a really good off season.
It's in the upper echelon of the off seasons for sure.
Yes. Their big things were like they traded Nick Allen. They lost Ozuna from the Braves, so he's no longer Ozuna from the Braves.
He's now Ozuna from the Pirates.
He is, now Ozuna from the Pirates. They signed Robert Suarez, which I did not expect that one. They brought back Raisel Iglesias on admittedly a little bit of a pricey deal, but it is what it is. They brought back Ha-Seong Kim, Mauricio Dubon.
Yeah.
The rest of them are like solid, like around the edges moves, like Yastrzemski, Jonah Hyde,
Yeah.
whatever.
And I think this is more true for the Braves than any other team is literally just have their guys be their guys. I mean,
Yes.
I am expecting an MVP caliber season out of Acuna. I expect him to be able to stay healthy and put up. Like, we'll get more into that when we're actually doing our predictions for the season, but I fully expect a 6+ F4 season from Acuna minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fully on the Acuna train this year. I think he's going to be. I think.
Damn.
Well, if he stays healthy, I should say. If he's healthy the whole year.
You got that.
I've always loved Acuna, and when he's healthy, he's one of the most fun players to watch in the sport. I think we're due for some Acuna magic.
Yep. Like you do expect to get a lot more out of Acuna. Like for the season. Like obviously he was really good last year, but
yes,
stretch that for.
Yeah.
He's not going to spend a month and a half for 2 months or whatever it was on the injury list.
Matt Olson's Matt Olson. Austin Riley had an unbelievable 3-year stretch where it's like you have an argument this is the best third baseman in the sport.
Yes,
and by you having an argument, I would say if you said it, that would be a very normal take. And then there. What?
I said up there.
Yeah. I don't think it would have been an insane thing to say, but obviously took a step back a bit in 24 and then 25, same thing. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to kind of just say it's his fault when the entire teams took steps back.
Yeah, and
so it's kind of like
when you look at someone like Riley, it's like the batted ball numbers are still really good this year.
Yeah, and aside from the 2020 shortened season, that was the first season of his career in which his ISO was under 200, and it was 168. So it's looking like at age 29 now, that's a very clear outlier season. In age 28, he's still a guy who should be in his prime, and I definitely think that we're going to see more of a 2022-2023 season from him rather than what we saw in 25. I think it's much more reasonable to expect that bounce back from him, and I really do think that Atlanta is going to bounce back. Now, On the pitching side of things is really where it gets dicey because, again, you gotta stay healthy.
Yup.
I mean, Schwellenbach had just got hurt recently. AJ Smith Shawver had Tommy John. Waldrip had surgery recently on his elbow. And you know, obviously, when you have guys like Chris Sale, who you know what they're capable of doing, Spencer Strider, which you know what they're capable of doing, health is the big concern. If they can stay healthy, I think that this team is back in the race for, the division.
Mm-hmm. It is dicey because I do think that, I mean, like you said, the success on the Braves is one that is more reliant on how their already existing nucleus is going to perform, right? Their guys that they brought in this offseason can all perform great. But if, let's say, Acuna either A, gets hurt or has a down year, Austin Riley stays like a round league average to the hitter, Ozzy Albies has another poor season, Michael Harris, all these guys, right? Let's say Matt Olson has a not as great year as he did this year, then you're not going to be looking as good. Pitching side, same thing. You got to stay healthy. You got to produce all these things. However, when I strictly am looking at their offseason, I see they brought back Raisel Iglesias, which is really good for them. They brought in one of the best relievers on the market. You can argue best reliever on the market. That's a different conversation. They brought in good depth, and they made a lot of moves to improve their depth. Yeah. So, not that, if Mauricio Dubon, Mike Yastrzemski, Jonah Heim, and Jorge Mateo are playing every day, that you're going to be a playoff team, right? Obviously not. That's not the case. But if one of your guys goes down, right? Let's say Acuna going down for a month or a couple weeks is not going to hurt nearly as much now as it would have last season. You know what I mean? Having Austin Riley go down is not going to hurt nearly as much as it would have. Right? Those kinds of things. Yeah. You can deal with stuff a lot easier now because you brought in a lot of depth guys. And now, just on top of that, your bullpen is a lot better. Bullpen's so much better now. Robert Suarez down there back into them. That's going to be nice for them. I'll give him a B+.
I'd give him an A-. Yeah. Just because, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, I'll give it a B+. It is really good. I don't think it's, anything, It's not an offseason for me that's, the Red Sox or any of these other teams where it's, they did so much. They did this. They pulled this move, this. Their big move was Robert Suarez. Iglesias came, and then the rest were, good around the edges moves. But what they did in the offseason wasn't necessarily going to be the driving force of whether or not they're good in 2026. But despite that, they had a really good offseason. Regardless of however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the Miami Marlins. They brought in Pete Fairbanks, and then their big thing was trading Edward Cabrera.
Who they got Owen Casey back, who
shout out.
I really like what he did in the World Baseball Classic.
Hey, shout out
obviously.
Owen Casey.
Yeah. It's also one of those things where they're in a weird spot. I don't really know the exact direction the team is going, but at least they have somewhat of a structure compared to the Twins.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, trading Edward Cabrera, I actually thought that they could have been really good this year with their rotation if they kept Edward Cabrera. But with that, they could have a nice return for him. I can't lie. You got Owen Casey, who right now, according to MLB Pipeline, is the 42nd best prospect in all of baseball.
And he will most likely be in the starting lineup to start.
Yeah, he's going to start the year in the majors unless something happens between now and Wednesday or Thursday or whatever the first game is. Not Wednesday, but Thursday, Friday, whatever the first game is. Unless something happens between now and then, he's going to start the year on the major league squad. Right? Don't it's hard to see otherwise. He can if he contributes immediately, that lineup, him, Stowers back to back. Let's say Augustine Ramirez takes another step.
Yeah, Kevin Augustin Ramirez, what a player.
You got that. Like, you have something here.
Yeah.
I remember when they traded Edward Cabrera. You know where I was?
Where?
I was waiting in Kennedy Station for my friend. We were waiting for him for 2 hours, almost, because we were doing
2 hours.
We were doing the walk, right? No, we all said, all right, 11 o'clock. That's when we're gonna start. That's when we're gonna meet there. Everyone for dates. Like, yeah. We're at Kennedy Station. Me and like 2 of my other friends. We get there at 11, or around 11, give or take. And we asked my friend, like, yo, like, where you at right now? And he's like, oh, I'm on my way home from the gym. And I'm like, dog, are you dead ass? You went to the fucking gym before we do this? And then he says, oh, I'll be with you guys 11:30. I go, okay. Or no, sorry, he says like 12. Okay. We call him at 12. Hey, where are you? Oh, I just got out of the shower. We're like, buddy,
Bruh.
when are you gonna get here? It's 12. He says, all right, I'll meet you guys at 12:30. I go, okay. It's 12:30. We go, where are you? He says, I'm waiting for my parents to get home to drive me. I said, are you serious right now? It's here at 12:50. So almost 2 hours. He didn't last the full walk. He tapped out at St. George. But that's where I was when I found out about the Edward Cabrera trade. And I was like, whoa. I wasn't expecting him to get moved. Not to the Cubs, especially. So, but Owen Casey's nice, man. Pete Fairbanks, solid addition. And Christopher Morel, solid as well. They did trade Ryan Weathers as well. I don't really think that one's nearly as insane as Edward Cabrera. Mainly because, again, Edward Cabrera netted you Owen Casey, who was really good. But on that note, I think that even if I think that you have a better core of position players this year, you know, you brought in Morel Casey, open slightly better because of Pete Fairbanks.
Yeah.
You now just don't have Edward Cabrera anymore. Like, even if you got a good return, he's just not there. Right?
Yeah.
And he was one of your best pitchers last year. You know how much we talked about him. This guy's disgusting. He's gross. He's so good. It's going to be interesting to see how this team plays without him. And I kind of think I want to give them around like a B-, I want to say. Because, like, that trade's good. But I don't really know.
Yeah, I was going to say B-.
Like, they didn't. I don't really think that they did too much to.
It's just one of those situations where it's kind of like, this is not a team that's building for this year. It's the next couple of years that are going to be crucial.
You don't have to do so much, to be fair.
Right.
But also, I don't know. It's shaky because, like, they're not bad. Like, they could be good. There was a period of time last season where they were, like, kind of in the wild card race. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, they were knocking on the door. So, I mean, there's that. Next team, the New York Mets. All right, this is an offseason that is really, 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 really interesting. They lost a lot of guys, but they also brought in a lot of guys. You know, they brought in Freddie Peralta, Bo Bichette, Jorge Polanco, Marcus Semien, Luis Robert, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver. And then they lost Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz, Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil. Bunch of guys.
They got a roster and lost a roster, basically.
Yeah, and So, I think the thing is, when you have this many players hit the block, or not even the block, sorry, for agency, you have Pete Alonso, one of the best power hitters in baseball. Edwin Diaz, probably the best reliever in baseball. Brandon Nimmo wasn't a free agent, excuse me. They had Tyler Rogers hit the market as well. They had some other relievers too, Ryan Housley. It's hard to recoup all that value. You know what I mean? Because even if you do bring some of those guys back, it's not 100% of the time that a team can replace the other guys who end up leaving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
However, now granted, this is because Steve Cohen is not scared to open up his wallet in respects to that. They said, all right, we lost these guys. Devin Williams, get over here. Come back. Oh, we lost, we decided to trade Jeff McNeil and, we lost Pete Alonso. That's fine. Jorge Polanco, Bo Bichette, we got you. We're going to bring in Freddie Peralta as well. We're going to bring in Luis Robert. Again, I don't really think Luis Robert's that good, but I think, admittedly, New York, the Mets, is a better situation for him than the White Sox. I gotta say, I think that they did a pretty good job recouping as much value as they could. You can argue that this is probably better. They pretty much revamped like this entire lineup, or most of their lineup was pretty much got like entirely revamped.
Yeah, and I mean, after what happened last year, there were some definite like clubhouse concerns that were raised. The team underperformed. An overhaul definitely had to happen. So I don't hate it. I think they did a good job replacing what they lost, and I think that the quality of players they brought in are, enough to make differences. And
yeah, absolutely. Like they didn't just do around the edges moves. Like they needed to bring in big guys because they had big guys leaving, and you go in and you trade for the best pitch, one of the best pitchers, on that was going to be available all off season. You go and get some really good hitters. Bo Bichette and Jorge Polanco are really good.
Yeah.
Although their defense is going to be interesting there, and that's I guess Simeon's going to.
Yeah, both playing positions that they're not really known to play. So
yeah, I mean, I guess Polanco's going to. Yeah, the corners are going to be interesting. Although I'm pretty sure wasn't like their first play of spring training like Bo Bichette
yeah
made a throw that took Polanco off the bag.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. But regardless, I do like the offseason for them. I don't know how much better or worse I think they are than relative to last year. I don't exactly know. But they did a pretty good job of doing a lot of what they could this offseason. I gotta say, this is probably I'd say a B+.
Yeah.
For them,
I would agree. Yeah.
Really like that. All right. We will move on to the Philadelphia Phillies. So, their offseason. So they re-signed Kyle Schwarber. They brought back JT Realmuto on a deal that I do not like. They lost some key guys, though. Suarez and Strahm. Kind of tough.
Castellanos is addition by subtraction, though.
Okay, that is true. We will consider that an addition. Losing Nick Castellanos is considered an addition.
I don't really like what Philly did, to be honest with you.
I don't love it. They, aside from they brought in Brad Keller, who's a good reliever. Aside from that, they did bring guys back, which also, to be fair, that is something that I think we need to take into account. It's not solely just additions.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's you lost Suarez, who was big. And to be fair, they have the rotation depth where I don't think it should be that big of a deal.
But and I love the extension that was the
Luzardo,
extensions that were given.
Beautiful extension. Yeah. Beautiful contract. But you also lost Matt Strahm, who was a really good reliever on a team that needed bullpen help.
Yeah.
So it's a little interesting. Harrison Bader was a solid depth piece for them.
Yeah.
Once they acquired him at the deadline from Minnesota.
Yeah. That outfield is just not good.
It's not. It's not good right now. This is a team where I feel like the clock is starting to tick on them.
This is the team who should be taking a run at Jaron Duran.
Yes. This is a team who needs to go all in on someone like that. That's a match. I mean, we've been saying that for months. Someone like him.
Yeah.
I think you said Stephen Kwan would be a really good
fit. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
That would be an incredible fit on this team. But again, yeah, you brought back Kyle Schwarber, and obviously you kind of had to. And Brad Keller's good, but outside of that, it's I don't really like your offseason. Number one, I don't really think that JT Realmuto is that good. To be fair, there wasn't that many great catchers. It wasn't. You didn't really.
Yeah,
have
that's the
the
problem. What would the alternative have been?
To be fair,
really.
But you also just didn't have to give him $45 million.
No,
you did not have to do all that. He's not that good. And also, you lost some pretty important pieces. Suarez, Strahm. I don't love it. Honestly, maybe a hot take. I'm gonna give them a C-. I don't like their offseason.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't like it, man. It's looking a little rough. I mean, they're still going to
Yeah.
be good in 2026. Like, I don't really have many doubts about that. But just on their off-season outlook, it's not looking like great.
No, it is not.
Anyways, let's go to the Washington Nationals. So this is a team that this offseason they continued to keep selling off some pieces. They traded Mackenzie Gore to Texas. They traded Jose Ferrer to Seattle. They got some okay returns on these. I don't really think that the return for Jose was that crazy. I don't really love the Harry Ford all that much.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is a team who's been near the bottom of the league pretty much since they won the World Series.
Mm-hmm. And then when you look at the trade for like Mackenzie Gore, you do have like Gavin Fine is now, or Fien or Fine or whatever, is now your top. He's now your 5th best prospect in your system. Rosario's 11. They got a lot of guys in that trade. They got 3 guys who rank in the top 15 on their prospects now. And to be fair, I personally don't think that Gore is that crazy. He had 2 years control, sure, but like he's not like anything ridiculous. He's like a solid, I'd say middle rotation starter. So I don't think he was going to net you like a top prospect. He wasn't going to net you like the Edward Cabrera return. Like you ask a team for, if you would have shopped him to the Cubs, said Owen Casey, they're hanging up the phone. So I'm not going to judge it on that front. But I also like, I don't know, like it's not like they got many pieces where you can move them mid-season either. And then you can get some assets for them. That's why I kind of like the White Sox offseason like an okay bit, because like if Murakami's doing really good, you have the option to trade him for assets. Sir Anthony Dominguez is good. You're going to probably trade him at the deadline, get something, right?
Yeah.
But the Nationals didn't really end up signing anyone like that, where it's like, yeah, you know what? We'll take a flyer on you. You're good. We trade you, get something for you. Boom, right? That's the kinds of moves that teams like this like to do, and the Nationals didn't just didn't do that. They didn't really get too much for the guys that they traded either. I don't love it. It's not a bad offseason in the same way that the Phillies offseason was bad, but it's like, I don't really think that you did much to forward your franchise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
So I'm also gonna, like, I'm teetering between a C or a C minus again.
Yeah. I would say probably a C minus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C minus because I don't love these trades for them, to be fair. Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. But with that done, with the Nationals out the way, we are done with the NL East. We'll start in the NL Central. So, Ethan, start us off on the Chicago Cubs.
The Chicago Cubs. So
they were busy.
They brought in Bregman. They, brought back Shota, brought in Edward. Obviously, other, relievers like Maton, Milner, Hunter Harvey brought in. They lost Tucker, which was expected. They lost Casey in the Cabrera trade. Brad Keller went to Philly. Kittredge, Turner, Pomeranz gone as well. I don't think this is bad by any means. I mean, they lost Tucker and they replaced him with Bregman. Shota they brought back. Owen Casey, losing that bat is tough, but Edward Cabrera bringing in makes it worth
really
it.
Really good.
It makes it worth it,
and
obviously.
And you probably wanted a starting pitcher too. Like their starting pitching rotation had a little bit of concerns, and we said that coming into the offseason.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I think the Cubs are a good team. Yeah. I really do like what they did.
I really like getting Edward Cabrera, even if it did cost Owen Casey, which is a tough loss. Edward Cabrera is really good. We said that when we were talking about Miami. He's really good. I think Alex Bregman, for 2026 at least, can probably net you, like... And when I say this, I'm not saying he's better than Kyle Tucker, but Kyle Tucker was about a 4.5 win player for you. If Alex Bregman is healthy for the full season, he can probably give you that value, or maybe like a little bit more than that. I think he could do that. if he's fully healthy. He was on a tear with the Red Sox before he got injured, and they brought him back a little bit sooner than I think a lot of people expected him to come back. And then he kind of struggled a little, like, he went on a little bit of a slump in his OPS and stuff down. He was over a 900 OPS before he got hurt. Easy to forget.
Yeah.
But he was killing. He was killing the game. I think he can very easily put up another 5-win season this year.
Yeah.
He can very easily do that. They brought in some
why
solid
not?
relievers. Losing Brad Keller is a tough loss, though, I can't lie.
Now, but Palencia is disgusting.
He's gross. Palencia's gross.
Yeah.
Losing Keller, though, is tough, but they did get guys. But I do like the Cubs offseason. I don't think it's spectacular. I'd probably give it like a B minus maybe.
Yeah, I'd say B plus, honestly, or B.
Yeah, just because, like, obviously the Tucker loss sucks, but I do think that Bregman can give that back. Edward Cabrera, good move, but you did give up you gave up a pretty tough loss to get it. But at the end of the day, proven really good starting pitcher. The unit kind of needed that right now. Yeah, it is what it is. I'll go with a B on that. So we'll move on now to the Cincinnati Reds. They, like, their losses were guys like Nick Martinez, Gavin Lux, neither of which I think are that crazy. Zach Littell, I guess. But they came back. They brought in Eugenio Suarez. Brought him back, I guess, technically, because he was a Red back in the day. They brought back Emilio Pagan, which I think they kind of needed to do. And they brought in a bunch of other guys, too. Caleb Ferguson, Brock Burke, whoever. Pierce Johnson, actually, really, too. I like that move for them. I think that... Do you remember... I can't remember what team we were talking about this earlier in the episode. But we talked about teams who they'll miss out on their top guy. And then they'll kind of just sit on their hands for the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, they got their top guy.
Well, they were going for Schwarber. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, my bad. True. I forgot
They were
about
going
that.
for Schwarber really early in the offseason. There was, I think, like the leaked offer. I think it was basically the same offer that the Phillies gave him, except it was just one less year, I think. I think that's what it was. It was like 4/120 or something like that. And then there were reports coming out that, like, they weren't really going to go after anybody else that was that big. And then obviously they signed Suarez for the 1-year deal later, but for a lot of the offseason, they weren't really doing anything crazy. Now, they did, make some, solid incremental moves here and there. I said that I like Pierce Johnson for them. I think that he is pretty good. I think that
who doesn't like a Pierce Johnson?
Yeah, who does not like a Pierce Johnson? Exactly. I think Caleb Ferguson is not a bad addition for them as well. I think that just helps strengthen their bullpen a little bit. Especially bring back Emilio Pagan. Those three, kind of nice. I think that their top end of the rotation, although Hunter Green is going to miss some time going into next year, a decent amount of time actually, I'm pretty sure.
Had he been healthy, that would have been my Cy Young pick.
That would have been a ridiculous 1-2-3 in that rotation. Again, we said it. We've been saying this for months. Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo is really good. That's a really good 1-2-3.
Yeah.
They still have Abbott, Lodolo. I think you would have liked maybe a little bit more rotation depth, I guess.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I don't really think that I'm going to give you my off-season grade is going to change that much because you didn't plan on Hunter Harvey missing however, I don't remember how long he's going to be out, but missing however much time he's going to end up missing. I do think that Suarez there is no risk in this. He could. I
like having him play in Cincinnati better than I'd like him playing in Seattle for sure.
Yes.
So there's that going for him.
There is the thing of, like, he can help. He can bring you more offense, which I think they kind of need. And if he's not good, then great. It's a 1-year deal. Like, it's not a risk, right?
Yeah.
If you aren't good this season, you trade him. If you are good, which you hope to, return to the playoffs, then great. That's another bopper in your lineup. And when postseason time comes, you need boppers, right? Yeah. Overall, I like it. Like, I do like their off season. I don't think that their losses were too crazy. Like I
No,
don't like.
I'd say this is definitely like a C plus.
Yeah, I honestly I'd give it like a B minus. I'm being a little
Yeah,
generous,
I don't
maybe.
hate that. I don't hate that. No, I
Maybe
don't.
being a little generous. Like there's some
Honestly,
losses that
thinking about
hurt
it,
a
pretty
little
B
bit. Like
minus probably better.
would
Yeah.
probably would have liked to bring back Austin Hayes a little bit of depth, but like I'm not losing sleep over Austin Hayes or like Gavin Lux or any of the guys that they let go. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I don't really think it's that big of a deal. So we'll go next to the Milwaukee Brewers. So
Yeah.
they did a thing. So they did the thing that they always like to do. They'll trade their guys who are coming up to free agency, whether or not the team is good or not. It doesn't matter. It's gonna happen. So they traded Freddie Peralta. Although to be fair, Jet Williams and Brandon Sprout, that's a nice return. I can't lie.
Yeah, they did lose the guy that Junior Caminero was traded for, though.
Yup. Um. Overall, though, I don't like the Brewers off season. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. You traded Freddie Peralta, and to be fair, you did get a pretty good return for him. But like, Caleb, you lost Caleb Duran. You traded him. You traded Isaac Collins. Like you don't have Isaac Collins. Jose Quintana walked. Like, I don't know. I don't like their off season right now. I think this is a team that they had the best record in the National League so far, and yeah, sure, they went out sad to the Dodgers, whatever. You made it to that point in the season, and then you traded your best pitcher, which I understand that this is typical Brewers activity, but you also traded Caleb Durbin, Isaac Collins as well. Those guys are also gone. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do any of that. Why did we do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've definitely made some interesting decisions from the front office where it's kind of like they're making moves just to make moves, it feels like.
I think that's the worst kind of thing you can do. It's like just for the sake of making moves. I want you to make a move that in some way or another. It's like I said with the Nationals, you want to forward your team, right?
There's nothing wrong with being, being stagnant in a way. Like, I think that
at times,
sometimes it's better to make no moves than it is to make moves just to make moves.
In a sense, yeah.
I think it always is.
Yeah, absolutely, in a sense. Like, you don't have to... I'm not saying that they had to go all in on trading for some of the top guys in the market and make, I'm not saying they had to make a run at like Ketel Marte. No, I'm not saying that.
Right.
But you could, you still had Isaac Collins and Caleb Durbin were two guys who were contributing pretty nice to your success last year. And you just don't have that anymore. Like, straight up, it's just gone. And you didn't really I don't really like the returns for them. Freddie Peralta returns not bad, but, you lost a lot of guys, especially in the position that you were. I don't love it. I don't really love it. I'm not going to lie. I actually really dislike it.
I'm gonna have to give him like a D.
Yeah, I'm giving him a D plus. Like I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Ugh, icky. Anyways, we'll move on to the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is an off season that I actually kind of like.
I love it.
Trading Oviedo, yeah, whatever, it sucks, but you got solid prospect back for him. You brought in Gregory Soto, pretty nice.
I don't think it takes a genius to be able to look at their rotation and say this is going to be good.
They're coming. Their rotation, they're coming. Gregory Soto for the bullpen is nice. They got Mike Montgomery, not bad. The big ones, obviously, Ryan O'Hearn, nice addition. Brandon Lau, nice addition.
Yeah.
Certain guy they brought in at DH. Listen, we don't condone you. But on the field, you're not bad. You know what I mean?
I like the Garcia and Mangum as platoon guys. I really like those moves too. I truly believe that the Pirates could be contending for the second spot in the division.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's that crazy to say. I think that you get Jared Jones healthy, that rotation is great. It's obviously good already, but
they brought in some solid bats, which we said if you give this team a solid offense, they're going to be really good. Like, their pitching is nuts.
Yeah. And obviously there is somebody that will be coming up from
Oh
the
yeah.
minor leagues very soon.
Yup, one of the top
So
prospects in all of baseball.
yeah, I would say probably
Actually, I'm
the
pretty sure
top
he's the top
prospect.
prospect in
Yeah.
baseball. Actually, I don't even think he's one of. I think he's the. Um, but yeah, he's coming. Plus they got bats. Plus their pitching's really good. They had a really good offseason. When you look at where this puts them, and I think that obviously, you wanted Connor Griffin to come up, and you want him to be really good, whatever. But doing what they did this offseason, we clown on the Pirates a lot. We've clowned on them on this podcast, and respectfully, understandably so. Like they've been pretty sad of a franchise for some time now. But this offseason was a really good showing from them, and I really like a lot of the things that they did. I think that this makes them. I mean, they're better than the Cardinals. Like you didn't need anybody to tell you that. I think they're better than the Reds. I don't think it's that unlikely that they'll be better than Milwaukee. Like I'll be very for real with you. I like them better. I like them to be like a second or third place team in this division, and a lot of that is off the back of what they did this offseason. Is really good. We talked earlier. I don't remember what team we said this about, but you can have a good offseason by making those solid, bringing in just some solid players. You don't have to go out and get like the big fish, right? They didn't go and get a big fish in any category, right? None of these guys ever considered to be big fish.
It's the same thing in the situation that the Athletics are in, where it's like, all right, we got a young team, we got a bright future, we have a direction. So let's kind of build around that. Let's not be like, okay, let's just use all our spending money on one guy that's good that'll help us this year, and then who knows about in 5 years from now. Instead, build around the strengths, slowly build up, and then eventually, like in a year or two from now, you can justify, getting a big name free agent, one of the top guys.
Or trading for a guy or whatever that ends up being at that time, right?
Yeah.
But even so, this is a team that this year, if things go right for them, they could make a run for a playoff spot. And a lot of that is off the back of what they did in the offseason. Because they did what they needed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, 100%.
For a grade, I might be glazing a little bit, but I'm gonna give him a B+.
A-. I don't care. I don't care.
And I thought I was glazing.
I love what the Pirates are doing right now.
I'll go full glaze. I'm joining you. A-, full glaze.
But yeah, I mean, I'm all in on the Pirates. This is my favorite, buy low team in the sense of I think that this is a team that could be much better than people expect.
I'm buying all of my Pirate stock, right now.
100%.
I'm all in right now.
This is a team that I think is going to be the division champions by next year, honestly. I fully could see them winning a division next year.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends on what they do in the next offseason and stuff, but, I don't know. But, if Connor Griffin really is as good as everyone seems to think he is, then this lineup becomes very good.
Yeah, absolutely. If Connor Griffin, he hits the ground running, whew, it's going to be scary, man. It's scary for the Central. I'm praying for the rest of you. Anyways, we'll move on. Last team of the division, the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, this team wasn't buying. Obviously, everyone could tell you this team isn't very good. They were not very good. They traded Sonny Gray. They traded Brendan Donovan. They traded Wilson Contreras. They traded Nolan Arenado. But what do you think of the returns that they got for these guys?
I mean, it was very obvious they were going through a rebuild, and that's what they did. I think they got some good pieces back. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're in a position where, they're going to be contending anytime soon, but they cut the payroll in half over the past couple seasons. The team is so much younger. They have 2 players over the age of 30 on the 40-man roster, and Riley O'Brien and Ryan Stanek. So, very young team. Got some good prospects. It's an intriguing team. I think based off of what they're expected to do and how the team was shaping up, I think it's a good offseason. Based off of, who they actually got, obviously it's hard to look at and say, yeah, this is a great offseason. But I definitely think they did what they had to do.
Mm-hmm. this is exactly what was on the agenda for them. I think everybody can tell you that. They started at the trade deadline when they traded Ryan Helsley, right?
Yeah.
It was coming. It was coming.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it was coming, and they did it, right? They managed to get off of Nolan Arenado. They managed to get him out of here. Wilson Contreras obviously gone. Brendan Donovan, who we're even saying at the deadline, could he get traded? Sonny Gray gets moved.
Next up, in my opinion,
this is the kind of thing that I wanted to see the Twins do. Honestly.
Yeah. Next up for them, I wouldn't even hate if they were to say, you know what, if we can get like a nice little haul for a guy like Lars Nootbaar, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think that totally makes sense given, everything like where the team is. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to contend. You may as well trade some of your more current productive guys. Why not? Like, why shouldn't you? Genuinely, why should you not?
Yeah.
This is the clear direction that the team needs to go in. There's some other teams who kind of need to, who need to go in this direction, like Minnesota. Again, like you're not.
I love the Ivan Herrera jump, by the way, as well.
Like,
I love the Ivan Herrera jump. I think he's a very good player.
Oh yeah, he's coming. He's coming on the scene.
Yeah.
I give their offseason, like it doesn't blow me away, but this is a good stat. This is good stuff. I give it a B-.
Yeah.
I'd say. Again, I don't think that it's like anything crazy, but this is where we should be going, which I like. What do you give?
100%. What did you give it?
I give it a B-.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a C+, B-. Again, the C+ isn't because I think they did bad. It's just kind of like, it depends on where they go from here.
Yeah.
It's very dependent on what they do. I'm looking at the offseason as a whole, and I like what I see because it shows the direction they're going in. But I can't look at that and automatically say, okay, they're going to be good in a couple of years because it's too hard to.
You need to, beyond just hitting the reset button, you need to you need to do the proper things to ensure you're good in a couple of years.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean? I can't just say, oh well, you're on the reset, you're on a rebuild, you're hell yeah, great offseason. Right? That's not what it is alone. But this is good. So far, it's good process, which I like to see.
For sure.
So, done with the NL Central. Move on to our last division, the National League West. We'll start with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and this is a little bit of an interesting one.
Well, they're bringing they got the unction over there. Zach Allen's back, Nolan Arenado, Carlos Santana,
Kelly, Soroka, like they got guys.
Gould, yeah.
They got the unction going on over there. And
yeah,
I don't know how much I like that, to be honest.
No, I don't.
I don't love it. I think that this is a team that, if I'm being honest with you, I think had a lot of potential to be pretty good in 2026. They barely missed the playoffs despite, trading Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez at the deadline, right? Who were both really good for them in the first half of the season. And they barely missed the playoffs.
They have the best second baseman in baseball. They have a top 3 shortstop in baseball.
They have
one of the best outfielders in baseball.
Like, that's insane.
But then they're just so top heavy.
That is a really good core to build around.
This team is so reminiscent of the Rangers to me. The Rangers, they won the World Series, and then it's kind of like, all right, now what? Oh, I don't know exactly the direction. They have a bunch of good guys. Like Texas has, like, obviously we went over that already, but having a core of these players is good. And they're not old either. Carroll's 25, Ketel's 32, Perdomo's 26. It's just then when you go into like the rest of the team, it's kind of like the supporting cast doesn't really feel like it's doing a lot of supporting.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that they brought in as well, like Arenado's not that good anymore. Like,
there's a reason why he didn't go for an arm and a leg.
Yeah, there's a reason. I mean, we said, like, or I was saying in the offseason, like, prediction video, like, I I was trying to think about how a Nolan Arenado thing is, and like I couldn't think of it because it was like, okay, either, you know, you eat money and don't really trade any assets for him, but either way, in that sense, he's just not going to be good for you anyways, or you know whatever happens. But either way, like he's not. I don't think he's that good. Like he's
That's
not.
one of those moves where I feel like the name value carries so much of it. Where
Yeah,
it's
and to
because
be
it's
fair, it's
Nolan
not like they
Arenado they
traded
got him.
so much for him. Like they didn't.
No,
You know what I mean?
but
But there's a reason because he's not that good anymore. He's kind
end of
of
the day, does he make the team better? I don't know if you can safely say that he makes the team better on his own. So
yeah. And like Carlos Santana's not like that. It is an addition. Like he was not on the team before. Now he is. Like you have added him to the team. It is an addition.
yeah, I just the more I look at it, the more it's kind of like, all right, convince me that you're not going to be a bottom, like you're not going to finish like a last, except for Colorado, like not including Colorado, that you're going to finish fourth out of the 5 teams in this division. Convince me you're not.
Yeah, like I think overall, like they're better than the bottom teams in the NL, like Colorado, Washington, St. Louis, whoever else. But like they're probably like, what are you, like a mid tier team in the NL probably?
Yeah.
Maybe like.
Yeah,
Unless...
they're not good enough to compete for the division, but they're not bad enough to the point where they're out of the playoff race from day one. They're in such a weird spot, and again, it's kind of just they did a lot of like okay, like why, or a
Yeah,
whole
it's
lot
like
of like that's a move of all time. Like they
it's a
didn't really
thing.
do
Like
anything that
yeah, like they're not bad, but I don't really love.
they're not overwhelmingly good either.
Mm-hmm. Like at some point, you're probably gonna get Corbin Burns back. You're hoping for a Zach Gallen bounce back, but is that what you're gonna hang your head on this season?
No,
Is
I
that
mean
really what you're banking on? Is Corbin Burns coming back and instantly being Corbin Burns, and Zach Gallen bouncing back after being respectfully just terrible?
yeah.
Like, is that where we're gonna hang our head? Is that where we're gonna put all our like? I don't really think that's a good spot to, you know, place all our bets like that. I don't know. I don't love it. I can't lie.
Me neither.
I'm gonna.
That's why I'm gonna have to give them like a C minus.
Yeah, I agree with you. C minus. Like, it's not awful because, like, you know what I mean. Zach Gallen could have a bounce back season. I do think that Merrill Kelly is pretty solid and he should have a solid year. But like what is Arenado doing for you? What's Carlos Santana doing for you? You know what I mean? What are a lot of these guys doing for you? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't love it. On that note, we will move on to the Colorado Rockies, and this is,
I'll start it off by giving them a glass half full take. I don't think it could get worse than it went last season.
This is true. I don't think it could. But like,
don't prove us wrong though.
Please don't. Again, I've said this a couple times. What are you doing to forward your franchise, right? St. Louis, they hit the full reset button. They said, all right, this is the direction we need to go. We need to do this. And to be fair, it's not like Colorado needs to hit the reset button. They just suck, right? But, like, what is Jose Quintana? I don't know. It's not like there's anyone here where it's like, oh, you know what? I think there's, solid upside here. You know
Look, they're a very young team. They do have some intriguing prospects. Like, I don't think this team is like, it's impossible to build something from. But like at the end of the day, can they bring in the right guys in terms of the front office to, develop these players and get back on track? Because obviously they're still at least 2-3 years away from even thinking about making a push for a wild card spot. Minimum.
What I'm looking at is, in this case, this is probably a team that you want to get guys, probably take flyers on, right? Look at guys with like solid tools. Okay, he does this well. Maybe he can have a big year this year. Maximize his value, whatever it ends up being, right? Quintana's not. Quintana's the opposite of that. He's on the older side. With all due respect, by the way, Coors Field signing older pitchers, hilarious move. as a team that is not going to contend, you're like, what are you going to do? You're going to trade him at the trade deadline when has a ERA inflated by cores? Like, that's not going to happen. I don't think that getting Edward Julian is actually a bad move. I actually think it's a solid. It's actually kind of okay for them. Solid walk rate, doesn't chase. Put up a solid barrel rate last year. Could potentially have a year, maybe, perhaps. That's the best I can say. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the best I can say for them. Yeah. It's an off season. You know?
Yeah, it is an off season.
What
And I'm gonna have to give it a D because it's like, oh, like I don't just it's not.
Yeah. I'm gonna give
It's a
it
whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a D plus because it's a little interesting. It's an
Yeah.
interesting off season, I'll say that. Okay. The Los Angeles Dodgers, man.
So I think it's just very easy to just say right away it's an A plus because it's a team that just won back-to-back World Series, and what do? They lose nothing and they get Tucker and Edwin Diaz. So
Yeah, there were two major holes that they had, right? One of them was bullpen. People came into the offseason, into the postseason saying this team has a pretty shaky bullpen, right? We were saying this back when we were doing our episodes then. And I still stand, and we still stand on that's what it was back then. And so they just went out and signed the best reliever in baseball. And then, maybe like a slight hole for them was like,
the corner outfield.
And then they just went and signed the best position player on the market, who also happens to be a corner outfielder. So I actually don't know how you can possibly do better than that.
Yeah.
Like what do you do? What do you do to top this? Like, I'm dead serious.
I just don't think you can.
Like, you can say whatever you want about the payroll and stuff like that, but I don't they don't care. Like,
no.
Like, I'm not gonna make a big stink out of them losing Michael Conforto or like Anthony Bonda. Like, I promise you that will not matter this year. Like, this seems ridiculous. Like, they already were ridiculous, but this is off season is literally the perfect off season you could have drawn up. Can't get better than that. A plus. I don't really think there's much discussion that needs to be had. Would you agree?
No, I 100% agree.
All right, let's move on. San Diego Padres. So this was another interesting offseason. They had a lot of guys who were hit on the market. Dylan Cease, Michael King, Robert Suarez, Ryan O'Hearn. A lot of those guys walked. They did bring back Michael King. Ethan, what do you think? What are your first thoughts?
I just don't think they did anything that was like overwhelming where it's like, wow, this is making the team better. They lose Cease, they don't replace him. They lose O'Hearn, and I mean, I guess Andujar, if you want to call that the replacement, sure. Castellanos, I don't think he's giving you anything, it's just.
I think we established that he is actively like an addition by subtraction, or I guess in this case, a subtraction by addition.
And honestly, as what they did, I just really still don't understand the Mason Miller trade. If I'm being completely honest.
Okay.
Because my thought process, Mason Miller, unbelievable. I'm not trying to knock Mason Miller at all. But he's a relief pitcher. And if there's rumors that they might try him as a starter, but I just don't think that's going to work. He's a reliever. He's a closing pitcher. And there's no guarantee that DeVries is like, a superstar. But to trade your top prospect for a relief pitcher when now it's looking like your lineup can use some juice, it's confusing.
Yeah, they already, like you said, their lineup needs juice. They already had a pretty underwhelming lineup coming into the offseason.
I'm sorry, but if you just re-sign Suarez and you don't make the Mason Miller trade, this team's in a much better position than they are now.
Yeah, they definitely needed like some sort of bats, and I guess they're calling Miguel Andujar like their big bat addition, but like their
Yeah,
lineup this year was super underwhelming. They weren't hitting for power like they should have been.
I'll rephrase it though. It's not that necessarily trading DeVries was an issue, which I do think that at that point they should have just kept him. But there's just no way the best package they could have gotten was a closing pitcher. Because I don't care how good of a reliever you are, is trading like a top 3 or whatever he was at the time prospect in baseball worth a relief pitcher?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Um, to be fair though, one of the like some of the best stuff in the game, like 4 years of control when they
Oh,
first brought
100%.
him.
I'm not
Like
knocking the ability of Mason Miller. It's more so, is that what the team needed though?
I like no, I get what you're saying because like a bullpen definitely was like one of their big strengths, even without Mason Miller. Like at that time they had Suarez, they had Jason Adam. He had not gotten hurt yet, I guess. You know, more at home. They had guys down there. Like I get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I think that this does a few things. Number one, this get like it gets you someone who's gonna be a staple of the back end for multiple years. At that point, I think one thing that a lot of teams lack is they lack stability in that area specifically. They lack someone who's able to man it down for like over a longer period of time. That is something that now to be fair, the Dodgers won despite not having it. The Dodgers didn't have that. Like until now, I don't think they had it since Kenley Jansen's like stopped being like an elite pitcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's other teams that fall into that category as well. I'm not saying it is or it isn't worth it. I personally am a little bit higher on it, to be honest, but I like they did have things that they needed to do. Mason Miller trade, no Mason Miller trade, whatever. They had things they needed to do. I think that lineup needed to get better. They don't have much pop in that lineup. Even with what they had, it was incredibly disappointing. They weren't hitting for power. They were one of the more disappointing lineups in the league. Their rotation, like you lost Dylan Cease, you did not replace him. That's one of the things that you said. You didn't really replace Robert Suarez. Now you can make the argument that their bullpen is so good you didn't really need to replace him.
Yeah.
But even so, you didn't do much in the other spots either. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is Nick Pivetta, Michael King, and then whoever else follows, is that going to be a good enough rotation next year for you?
To contend in the NL West, it's,
I don't
gonna
know,
be
man.
hard.
I don't know. I give him like a C minus
I would agree with that, yeah.
because, again, you did not replace Dylan Cease, which I understand that, again, his results were not as great last year. And so you can
Yeah.
maybe justify to yourself that, all right, obviously we know his true talent, but specifically the results that he gave us weren't good, so that shouldn't be hard to replace. I think you can, you can say that you can think you can justify it to yourself that way. But even so, like that's a pitcher who can dominate a game. You lose a really dominant back end of the bullpen guy. You lost Ryan O'Hearn too, which is a pretty big bat for them.
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't know. I don't love it for them. But all right. The San Francisco Giants. This is where we will end it. This is the last team we're going to go over. They did some things. Nothing was too crazy. They were actually rumored on some guys, and I predicted them to have a pretty big offseason, but they didn't. But I don't... It's interesting. Because they didn't really lose much. Like, whatever. They lost Justin Verlander. Who cares, right? They brought in some solid pieces. Like, Tyler Mahle, Adrian Hauser's not bad. Sam Henches, Harrison Bader, Luis Urias, like, okay. How much does this move the needle?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a team who's been consistently mid over the past couple seasons, and I don't think we're seeing much of a change here. I love the Bader edition. Arias, I mean, sure, whatever. I don't know. I like the Tony Vitello hiring is also interesting because that's somebody who doesn't have the experience in the big leagues as a coach of any stature. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen there. I don't think you need I'm not one of the guys who say you need some, you know, old head guy who's been there, done that as your manager. I would rather a younger minded guy who's maybe more into analytics and stuff like that. I just think it's an interesting hire because it was kind of like, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but it was like I didn't expect that to be the Giants hiring, but I like it.
Okay.
And as far as the actual roster goes, I mean, losing Birdsong hurts because they were expecting a jump from him this year, and he's out for the year with Tommy John. The rotation, Logan Webb is a great number one. Then they kind of goes to Robbie Ray, and then the additions of Molly and Hauser, and it's kind of like the rotation isn't necessarily great. The bullpen, same thing. It's like I don't know if you can say that's necessarily great either. I mean, the guy who's their best reliever last year is out for the year, or at least most of it with Tommy John. I'd say I think it's the whole year.
Probably when it ends up gonna
So,
be, yeah.
so yeah, the lineup. I mean, you're definitely relying very heavily on Devers, Adames, Chapman, Jung Hoo Lee, and obviously now Bader is a really nice piece. I think the lineup is definitely solid. I think it's kind of the pitching that scares me, but obviously in San Francisco you can get away with it more.
Mm-hmm. A little more of a pitcher's park, so you end up seeing what happens with that. But yeah, like it's a whole lot of just like like nothing here
No
moves
like
me.
needle movers.
Nothing here really moves me. Like they were 81 and 81. They were the like definition epitome of just mid, right? And I don't
Yeah.
really see them being much better than that next. Like I don't know, maybe they win 83 games. Like I don't know. Like I don't really see them being
I
much
mean,
better. You know.
I get it. Yeah.
So I don't know. Nothing here really moves me. I give it like a C.
Yeah, I would too.
So I don't know. Nothing here. Nothing here really impresses me all that much. So I mean,
No.
it's what it is. But with that, everyone, we have graded every single Major League Baseball team's offseason. 2025,
If you
offseason.
if you don't agree with any of our grades, please let us know, and we would love to hear your thoughts as to why.
Yes. With that said, we want to thank everyone for listening. This is a longer one, 3 hours. 3 hours on our first episode, backed up for a minute. I do want to take a minute to apologize for the lack of
We are back now, though.
uploads over the off season. I got sick 1 week and then the wheels fell off after that. Fell all the way off, so it's tough. But we will be back on the horse for the 2026 season. For anyone who is still here, as we always say, we want to thank you for any amount of listening that you've done, whether you have listened to the full 3 hours, or if you just listened for 5 minutes at the start, or you skipped
or just
ahead
skip your
for the
team
last,
to hear. Yeah.
You're listening now for the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. In any case, listening to any amount, thank you a lot. We will be back a little bit sooner than what we like to do. We like to do 1 week, 1 week, 1 week. We are going to be back a little bit sooner. We are going to have another episode going up pretty soon, before opening day, actually, where we give our season predictions. We're going to do standings, awards, all that stuff. So we will see you then. But until then, take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.